Hey, what it do?
Hey.
What is up?
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday to you. What's going on?
Cold as balls outside.
What are you guys doing? It's windy.
Jeez.
It's windy out there.
I had one of those this morning where, you're a weatherman. I do not. I just look outside and I'm like, it seems about this. And I took the big fella, took the dog on a walk this morning, and let's just say I severely underdressed and immediately regretted that decision.
I did the same thing taking my kid to school. I wore shorts, and it was miserable.
Lord.
Yeah.
And it was like one of those where I realized about 5 minutes in, and then I was so lazy that I didn't turn around to go back. I just kept going, which again was a dumber decision. I kept digging myself a deeper hole. It was like 50 minutes of just absolute misery. It was like the Donner Party out there. I thought it was the worst suffering anyone has occurred. My hands and my giblets far too cold. I needed some thermals. It was ridiculous.
This is why I'm a weatherman.
Yeah,
is that I was prepared.
You know what?
I even had gloves today.
I did think about you as I was walking. About 10 minutes in, when I'm freezing, I thought to myself, maybe this is why Rop is always checking the weather, as opposed to looking outside and being like, "Oh, that looks all right."
Well, a dog walk, you can just suck it up.
I was trying.
And you can. Sometimes you get caught out there in the dog walk and you're like, ooh. And then you kind of briskly walk the dog home. Golf, you got to be ready.
You're out there.
You're out there for 4.5 hours.
Yeah, it's true.
You got to be ready.
That's why I don't golf in inclement weather. I'll look outside, man. It's not happening today.
Well, I'll tell you what.
I am a fair weather fairway man.
It's dry today, but I was supposed to play today.
Yeah, that's right out.
And I canceled that ass.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I wouldn't want I don't understand at this point in my life why I'm supposed to do activities that are miserable to do. Like that just I've evolved past that. Riding my bike's the same way. I love riding my bike. One of my favorite things to do. You know what I don't like to do? Ride in bad weather. Because it's miserable. Same thing with golf. Hey, you want to spend 4 hours outside in the wind and just biting cold? No, I don't. And chances are you're going to play like crap because it's windy and cold. I'm all right. We're good here. You wouldn't go on a picnic today.
I did.
you just go out there and lay it out there on the ground, the frozen tundra?
Yeah, we had the red... What do you call it?
Plaid?
Plaid?
Yeah, right.
Checkered.
We know the checkered plaid.
And I had the picnic basket.
Well, when's the last time you went on a nice
with the white wine
picnic?
and the grapes.
Well,
and cheeses.
I don't remember the last time I've picnicked.
No, we haven't picnicked in a while.
No,
either.
it's
a picnic is delightful. I just never.
One time I gave my wife a present that was a picnic pack. It was a little backpack that holds wine and has a little charcuterie board type deal, a little cutting board, a little knife. We have lived, and we've never used it once.
We have that. My gal has one of those, and the blanket is built into it as well.
It's a great little idea if you ever have time for a picnic.
We broke it out one time in Bend, and it was just to use the blanket. And we were like, oh, look at that. There was some cheese in there from 12 years ago. That's one of those things. Let's take a romantic picnic. Let's not. You know what? We build a gazebo. Why? So we'll never stand in it. Again, it's a great idea in theory, like communism, but it never works out. It always ends up being a poor idea. Always. So just FYI, don't go on a picnic unless you're trying to get some. That's either if your significant other says let's go on a picnic, they're either trying to get you to do something that you don't want to do, or there's a proposal coming. There's no other reason to go on a picnic. None whatsoever.
Well, we have a big show today. I'm switching up the poll question already.
Oh. Are you uncomfortable because of the failed poll question? Is it in your kitchen now?
No, I was given rave reviews for yesterday's poll question. I'm riding high.
Oh, all right.
It was a great poll question.
You rebounded.
Nepotism.
No. I will tell you that poll question did derail us for an entire set. Well, an hour and a half.
Hour. Yeah, about an hour.
Yeah.
You say derail us. I say bought some time,
That's true. Well, look.
That's the whole point.
As someone points out on the Vancouver Ford text line, there isn't anything on sports TV right now. So
college basketball.
Like I said, there's nothing on TV right now. I mean,
NBA.
The hockey games don't start for a while.
I watched the NBA last night.
Well, now you're not watching it because now we're at the All-Star break.
Guess you didn't need to be worried about those Blazers being frisky before the break, huh?
Oh, thank heavens. I don't know about you, but I felt a lot of relief. I was a little nervous about that
first quarter, man?
Yeah, I was like...
44-14?
It's like, what's going on? We're good.
They were down 30 before we got home.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Which, again... I appreciate that because you know what? The Red Wings were on TV last night. I didn't need to go into the All-Star break sweating a Blazer victory, and I appreciate that they just didn't waste any time. We're like, yeah, here, have it. Just take it.
Yeah, I had to switch up the poll because I noticed a glaring omission. Now, this is going to be controversial today.
All right.
Okay, because people are going to think that this poll is stolen.
But it's not?
Nope.
It's your original?
I had it in my notes.
This is like your stairway to heaven. It sure seems like word for word another poll question, but you're going to claim it's your own. You know what?
You guys can think whatever you want. I don't care.
And I will.
What I can tell you is that I saw an article earlier this week that was stating that Jamal Murray was the best player to never play in an All-Star game.
Oh.
And on the list of other players that were great to never play in an All-Star game were a bunch of Blazers. And from that, I said, I didn't do it the day of because we were still at that time talking about the Super Bowl and other things. So I put it in my notes to do for All-Star Weekend. Who is the best Trailblazer to never play in an All-Star game?
I like the idea of just who's the best player to never have played in an All-Star game.
Well, there's a whole nother.
Yeah, you've thrown me for a total loop.
But there are plenty of I think this is a really good question about the Blazers now, and I'll get to it in a second. But what the controversy is that I then wake up today and I throw on the 1080 The Fan Twitter about to put up the poll question. What do I see? Danny and Dusty have the same question.
Sons of bitches.
But they have different answers. There's a couple of different. So I've changed it to what I think are the 4 best answers.
Is it possible that Danny and Dusty were hacking your award-winning show prep?
It is possible, and I'm going to need to lock it down.
I think that, I've long suspected that Danny has been collaborating with the Russians. I mean, I just feel like the whole military thing, and I feel like it's suspect there. And if I know anything about the Russians, they're into hacking things. I just think it's kind of convenient. You come up with an award-winning poll question, and Danny and Dusty happen to have it on the same day.
I'm not going to lie, it hurt me. I thought
suspect.
I thought it was a really good question. I'm like, this is going to be great for Friday because we're going into All-Star Weekend, you know. Yeah. And lo and behold, I see it on Danny and Dusty's page. So I just want them to know, and I want you to know. That
is 7 and 9 bull.
This is not a stolen question, and it's got different answers than theirs. Okay, so
I've now had to look up a list of players that have never made an All-Star team because, like, you're like, I would not know if you asked me had Richard Jefferson ever made an All-Star team. I would have said yes. Like making
is he on the list?
Yeah, he's on the list of best players who never have made an All-Star team. Look, I'm not saying that. Like making an All-Star team is great, but can we admit that it's not that hard to make an All-Star team? It's like making a Pro Bowl.
Well, but listen to this. Okay, so here's our poll question today. Right. It is on X at 1080 The Fan, brought to you by AAA Heating and Cooling.
Lamar Odom.
Family business helping families for over 60 years. AAAIAQ.com. This is why I think it's a really good question. There are 4 really good Blazers that never made an All-Star game.
Okay.
Who is the best Blazer never to play in an All-Star game?
Let's go.
CJ McCollum.
Solid Blazer.
Damon Stoudemire.
Very solid Blazer.
Arvydas Sabonis. Jerome Kersey. I mean, come on. How good is that?
That's a good list. Did TP make an All-Star game then?
Yes.
Porter made one.
Yes.
With Portland or somewhere else? Did he make it in San Antonio or Milwaukee? But he made an All-Star team. Boy, that's good.
And okay, one other amendment.
Yeah. My
original question had, let's see, 91, 93. So Porter made 2 with the Blazers.
Okay.
I originally had Drazen Petrovic on there because Drazen was on.
He was great.
The list of the best NBA players to never. But I just, as a Blazer, I thought Jerome Kersey was more. He's more of a true Blazer.
Sure.
Than Drazen.
Yes.
So I swapped him out.
This is weird because I know that it wasn't the best version of himself. Obviously, but when you threw out those names, the first one that kind of grabbed me was Sabas.
Yeah, but he wasn't.
I know
wasn't peak Sabas.
He wasn't peak Sabas, and I know he was a part of those. He was a cog of a team, and maybe I'm just giving him the benefit of the doubt because those teams were good. I mean, that could have been a championship level team. I want to lean towards Sabas, but yeah, gosh, that's a really damn good question.
2 in a row.
You're on a roll. You're on a little bit of a roll here.
I came hard today.
Yes, you did.
Yeah, and now I'm going to Vegas, so I'm probably going to win a lot of money.
So you're going hard again. You're going hard 3 days in a row. That makes me very uncomfortable. You should probably see a doctor about that.
I look back at Damon Stoudemire's numbers, and they are not as good as I remember them.
Yeah, because, well, and again, we're not talking like the width of the career, right? You're just saying when he was in Portland?
No, I mean, well, yeah, generally. I mean, all those guys, all four of those guys, generally you think of as Blazers, right? Like you don't think of them in other uniforms.
Well, Damon, you do a little bit. I mean, he was Rookie of the Year in Toronto, and
he was mostly Portland.
Yeah, I guess he's the one that I don't.
And he's from here.
I don't necessarily just think of him as a Portland Trailblazer. CJ, I certainly do. Although when it's done, maybe we think of him down in New Orleans. Sabas, obviously, it's 100% you think of him. So, yeah, I get, yeah. And Kersey is, even though Kersey would go on in San Antonio, again, Kersey is very much the Portland Trailblazers.
So I thought Stoudemire had, I don't know, I think of him as better than his stats show.
As someone who didn't grow up a Portlander, when you read that list off, Stoudemire in my head was the one who probably was the most worthy.
Me too.
Without diving into the numbers.
That's what I thought. But if you dive into the numbers, I don't think it is Damon Stoudemire. It's probably Kersey.
Mercy, Jerome Kersey.
Dude, that guy was awesome.
Kersey was fantastic. He was great.
And so was CJ. But I don't know.
Look at Sabonis now. Because again, I'm open to the idea that this is merely just in my head. That, that's kind of in. I just think of him being.
I mean, the best numbers are probably CJ. Probably.
And to be fair, we've talked about it. Had CJ been in the East, CJ would have made all-star teams. CJ was an all-star level player.
I mean, he's the only consistent 20-point scorer of the four.
Yeah. He just got caught in when every time he had one of those nice years, the West was loaded with guards. I mean, Lillard even had that at the beginning of his career. And again, he played in the shadow of Damian Lillard, where it's hard for two Blazer guards to make the postseason or to make the All-Star team. And he wasn't going to make it over. He wasn't going to make it over Damian Lillard.
Well, there you go. You have to vote.
That's a good question. You're probably going to get me to lean towards with Kersey with that one. It's just that I don't know.
I'm moving toward McCollum.
Are you?
Mm-hmm.
I have a hard time with that.
My first thought was Sabonis, and then I was like, wow, Damon was better than CJ. And then now I'm like, no, CJ. That guy was damn good. He played with Lillard, so that makes him.
He gets overshadowed. Yeah. One, that team didn't have a bunch of success, and obviously Kersey and Sabas did. They had better success.
Well, the other thing too, Game 7 Denver series, the 1 year that they did have success,
fantastic. They don't
game.
Get there without CJ.
That was his game,
100%.
So anyway,
that's a solid poll question, my friend. You have gone hard once again.
I deserve a vacation.
What is this?
I don't know.
Well, you're going to Vegas, so there you go.
I won't be here Monday. Well, none of us are here Monday.
None of us are here
because it's President's Day.
Treat yourself.
Treat yourself. And then I'm off to. I'll be back Wednesday. Maybe I'll do a dumper on Wednesday.
There you go. Just mail it in.
Like, oh yeah, Rob's back.
Well, Tuesday you have to bring the heat because we got the.
I'm not here Tuesday.
Oh, I thought Tuesday is the Winter Golf Classic.
No.
I don't think this coming Tuesday.
Oh, never mind. That's
the following.
That's the following. You're right.
You're doing great. Yeah. You're doing great. For one more day, I'll carry you.
And then after that, I'm on my own.
I'll attempt to carry you on Tuesday. We'll see.
Ooh. I'm jumping right on your back.
That's right.
Let's go, donkey. You and me, big boy.
All right, it's on X at 1080 The Fan, brought to you by AAA Heating and Cooling. Who is the best Blazer never to play in an All-Star game? Vote hard. Yesterday's poll question, which was also excellent, if I do say so myself, and I was receiving awards for it. What is or would be the most egregious case of sports nepotism? Bronny James, if drafted, won that at 55%.
There's really no debate if that happens.
Now,
did you end up watching him last night, Isaac?
Bronny, no. I saw the final score and I'm like, damn it, I was supposed to watch that.
I watched a little bit of it.
See, I'm a good sports guy.
I do feel like he's got a decent basket. Like he knows what he's doing out there, but he's just not that good.
Yeah, well, he's a frishman.
I know, but he's got the IQ.
Lay off of him.
No, I know, sure, but he starts and then he wasn't playing down the stretch in a 2-point game. So.
I love it. They ended up beating Utah by what, 4 or whatever?
2 or 4, yeah.
I do love that. That's where we're at with
nice W
with Bronny. Yeah, they like their 4th win of the year. USC's dog mess. But I love that we've gone from He's a 5-star McDonald's All-American.
Prospect.
Can't miss, one and done.
He wasn't a 5-star.
And now
he's a 4-star. I think.
And now we're down at the end of the year where we're like,
he doesn't look lost out there.
Lost. Jeez.
He's a glue guy.
Jeebus.
High basketball IQ.
What do you have? I'm looking here. Ooh, this is a big one for him. 7, 3, and 3.
Did you see those 3?
3
what?
I saw they included him in like a highlight package of him making a 3-pointer. Like LeBron James Jr. even getting in on the mix.
He had 3 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists, 7 points in 20 big minutes. He damn near dominated out there.
Bronny was 55%. What is this guy's name? Thanasis Antetokounmpo?
Yeah,
right?
let's just go with the lesser Antetokounmpo.
He got 25%. Apparently, he's terrible.
Yeah, if you've never seen him play, they stick him at. I will say this though, no one waves a towel quite like him. He's got some real Zach Collins bench vibes. Because my buddy's from Milwaukee, so when the Bucks come to town, we always go watch the Bucks. And he is quite the cheerleader. He brings the heat.
Brian Ferentz, 11%. I thought that was
only
a little
11%.
low. That's a little low. And then Jack Collinsworth got 9%. That was yesterday's poll question.
I don't know. He won't win for nepotism, but most likely to get kicked in the face, Collinsworth. That guy has the most punchable face in sports media.
All right, we continue basketball talk next, 316 on The Fan. Coming up next, we have the latest in Tiger drama.
Ooh.
And I'm not talking about, like the Bengal tiger.
Oh, I was hoping.
I'm talking about Tiger Woods.
I follow a Twitter account called like Nature is Metal or whatever.
I follow the same one.
You're right. There was and I don't know where it was, but there was just some dog, and I'm assuming somewhere over in India, but there was just a tiger just hanging out, minding its own business. And some dog comes walking over to it, and the dog, like the little yappy dogs, they get all bowed up on it, and it starts barking at it. And I'm watching this video like, is the tiger going to run away? No. Tiger just grabs it by the neck and shakes it, and then it just snaps its neck.
Takes care of that, huh?
And then it just walks away with it. And I was like, oh, my God. Because I always see those little dogs, and they're always yapping. And I'm always like wondering, what would happen if both owners just were like, let's
see what happens.
Let's see what happens. But some dog just decided that it was going to go. It looked at a tiger. It looked at a killing machine and was like, watch this. I'm going to go over and bark at this thing. And the tiger, without even just so casual, I'll just snap its neck.
My dad and stepmom have had Jack Russell Terriers in addition to Golden Retrievers, but the smallest Jack Russell tried to run up on a brown bear in Tahoe once.
Right?
They saw it on the path, and they had to scream at her to get her to come back. And it's like, what are you doing?
Oh, well,
Dumbass.
I can't figure out what is with those dogs. So anyway, it's a great follow on Twitter. Nature is Metal. I recommend it.
But we have different tiger controversy.
Yeah.
Tiger Woods, man.
Tiger Woods.
It involves ambulances and fire trucks. But first, basketball.
What?
Did you see our Zers last night down 30 after first quarter?
Oh, I saw.
What is worse, that or giving up 44 rebounds to one girl?
Ooh.
Did you see that?
44 to one girl?
There was a girl, I think it was Division II. I don't know. Some girl. Got 44 boards in one game.
How does that... How many missed shots did the other team have?
Or how much taller is she than everybody else?
She's a big girl, but she's not... I mean, she's not like Wilt Chamberlain.
Sounds like it.
If you played against like 7th graders, could you grab 44 rebounds?
Easily.
Like Billy Madison style?
That's what I was wondering. Is it like it's a head and shoulders situation?
No, it wasn't. I saw the highlights. Her name's Lauren Taylor, and she set the NCAA record for all divisions with 44 reebs in a win over North Greenville. She plays for Francis Marion. She's 5'11", and she had 30 on defense and 14 on offense.
Good Lord.
Division II.
I don't... Like, you see some... Oh, yeah, I'm looking at it right here. Yeah, I would... I'm going to say that I think that's worse. Like...
I think so, too.
Giving up 40... At some point...
Yeah, at some point you put her ass on the ground.
Right? Like, someone send a message.
Because the Blazers at least battled back.
Yeah. 44...
Sort of.
No one's going to box her out? Like, nobody?
Yeah, that's right. I'm throwing an elbow in her gut.
Something. I mean, send a message. You do see those, and it usually happens in girls basketball, unfortunately, where you see you get some really good team. It's like in high school, and they're playing someone else, and they beat them like 95-7. I always like...
the girls' game, it's weird like that.
Well, because
you get those mismatches.
Yeah, because some of the high level, like girls basketball has gotten... The skill level's insane. Look what Caitlin Clark's out there doing. She broke the all-time NCAA scoring record and the Iowa scoring record for a single game. Was she have like 40? She have like 44?
She had 49 last night.
Are you looking at the map?
I'm just now pulled it up. Oh, that's Washington.
What? What's
misfire?
Yeah.
Was that a misfire?
I think that was a you misfire?
Me? That wasn't me. That's not even on my page. I don't know.
Not on my page either.
But
do we get something lost?
Sorry, America.
The high-end level of girls basketball is insane now, but there's still a lot of entry level. And so when those collide, boy, you can get some really bad results where
they ought to have the mercy rule.
Yeah, there needs to be one. We had in high school, we had one of the our girls basketball team. We had like 3 players go on and play Division I. Our best player played at Oregon, was like an All-American, played in the WNBA, and we would play sometimes like Washougal. And it would be one of those. It would be like at the half, it'd be like 46-3, and you just.
It gets to a point where you're like, at what point do we want to decide that we are going to let them score so they feel good about themselves?
It felt bad.
Yeah.
Like, because we would we'd go there and we'd score 2-0 and you'd start the warm up the bus chants because it was over. But then by the time you got up by 30, you just felt bad. It's like you're just pushing a kid over in a wheelchair. There's nothing. It's
Jesus.
Well, 44 rebounds. At some point, you grab 35 and you're like, hey, maybe I should take a seat on the bench. What am I doing here? You're just padding stats.
Yeah. Well,
44 rebounds.
Anyway, it was a big night in basketball last night because that, and then Caitlin Clark, she only needs 98 points now to pass Pistol Pete. Pistol Pete holds the all-time NCAA scoring record.
Yeah.
So she could get that.
Although, have you seen of course now, we can't just celebrate Caitlin Clark. We have to tear her down. There was someone that came along before her that technically people are saying holds the NCAA the scoring record for everyone, including women. Pearl something or other. Have you seen these articles?
No.
I have seen this before. I saw these last time when Kelsey Plum got the record.
Yeah, they did the same thing. When Kelsey Plum broke it, then, of course we have to do that. Well, really, this isn't the record. And it was a gal that played in the 1960s or 70s. And, she was the world's greatest thing, whatever.
So why is she not in the record books?
It was back before women's sport. Back in those days.
They weren't keeping stats and stuff?
Yeah, women's sports back in the day. We were a bit misogynistic back then.
It wasn't a sanctioned game, is what you're saying?
I just
don't think people cared enough to take the right stats.
Exactly.
Take stats well.
Yeah. I think it was one of those where hey, this girl had 50 points, and they're like, yeah, but go cook me a quiche. And then they were like, get in the kitchen.
That's like old Wilt stats.
Yeah, it's like that. But she was greatness. She's in her 60s now. And there's every time I see an article about Caitlin Clark, right behind it, there's someone, of course, being like, why don't we recognize the true scoring champ? And you're like, can we just let Caitlin Clark for once, just here. She's great. Just celebrate this. Not everything that has to be celebrated then has to be torn down. We do this all the time. Someone achieves something and we're like, yeah, but watch this. It's not the real one.
Did you see the Nike print ad for Caitlin Clark? It was pretty cool.
Now, yeah, you break it, you own it.
Yeah, it's like a still photo of her celebrating breaking the record, and yeah, you break it, you own it.
Nike does this better than anyone else.
Is she already a Nike player?
I believe they're competing for her.
Well, they sponsor Iowa, so I don't know, but because Angel Reese, the Bayou Barbie, she's Reebok and she's still in college because you can sign NIL deals now. So I don't know.
I thought she did.
Who?
Clark.
She might have. I mean, she's in a Nike ad, so I'm assuming that there's at least there's an NIL agreement. I don't know if she signed long term, but I remember when. Nike just does these great snapshots. I remember when Jerry Rice broke the touchdown record, I had this poster on my wall. It was Rice and he had his arms up and it said, instead of just do it, it said just did it.
Yep.
And I thought that the Caitlin Clark one is awesome. There should be little girls everywhere with that poster up. You break it, you own it. That's awesome.
Do you think they just fired the person who came up with that?
Wow.
What?
Already time for the news?
Too soon?
Too soon?
If you didn't know,
Nike humor?
Nike's laying off 2% of its global workforce.
Yeah, so when Bronny signed, Bronny kind of overshadowed this, but Nike signed NIL deals with Bronny, Caitlin Clark, Juju Watkins, and Haley Jones and DJ Wagner, whoever that is.
DJ Wagner?
I don't know who that is.
I don't know who that is either.
But that sounds to me like 5 players.
By the way, it does sound like Caitlin Clark has an NIL deal with Nike close to $1 million.
Yeah.
So not necessarily one when she turns pro, but at least in college.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I just think it's cool as a dad that has 2 daughters, and my kids are obviously grown now, and they're not into sports that much, but I just think it's really cool because I do remember when my kids were younger and bringing them up. The only thing we really had was the U.S. women's soccer team. That was a big one, and because both my daughters played soccer and they weren't gung ho into it, but that was kind of the one for young girls that you could you hold up. And then Serena Williams, and you're starting to see more and more of these where it's not just little kind of niche. Oh, it's fine. This is for a girl. You've got bona fide superstars out there in the women's
fun
sports
to watch.
Yes,
that's the key.
Yeah.
She has Nike. That's a $818,000 deal.
Tasty.
She also has deals with Gatorade, State Farm, Buick, H&R Block, and the Midwestern and Southern United States grocery store chain Hy-Vee.
Oh, I don't know Hy-Vee.
I do.
That's
Hy-Vee. We used to go there for lunch.
Is that like the Smith's chain? Is it like a middle of the road kind of?
It's
kind of Fred Meyer's-y?
Yeah, it's like Fred Meyer if it had a more suitable hot bar. You know,
I love a good grocery store hot bar.
Yeah, well, then you would have liked Hy-Vee because we would go there and get their hot bar.
Love the hot bar
for lunch.
It's the only reason I go to New Seasons.
Every time I sat down with food there, a little piece of me died. Like it felt
it's like shameful.
Like, what is happening? Yes, I'm in a grocery store eating bad Kung Pao chicken. Shoot me.
There's a market out in Tualatin that it's like an Asian market, and they have a phenomenal hot bar, and it's all Asian food, and you can buy like a whole duck for like $20, and they chop it up for you right there, and it's an amazing place to go to lunch because you just walk in there and it is old Asian people all just embracing it. And you do, like, when you go and eat there, you feel yourself aging at least 10 years every time you sit down to eat.
It's in a different environment. They have that at the Ranch 99 in Beaverton.
That's what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. There's a couple of those. Yeah. If you've ever been out to the Ranch 99 and made a hard right into the hot bar to get yourself some crispy duck,
you could see someone just like taking a cleaver to a duck and then just handing it over.
Get ready to feel like you're about 72 years old.
The other thing that's cool about Caitlin Clark is she's from Iowa. She's an Iowa girl.
I can't say I knew that.
Yeah, she's from Des Moines. So she's very hyper local and they love her.
That's just, I just enjoy
even though she's a national story. She's there. She's theirs. She's a hero.
I just think it's really cool that we're starting to see the evolution of women's sports. And like you said, it's becoming, no one's placating anyone anymore. It's actually fun to watch, and the skill level is jumping off the page at you.
That's right. I mean, she's hitting shots from Steph Curry range.
Yeah. The way she broke that record, she takes 3 dribbles past the half court line, pulls up from the logo.
She's going about 100 miles an hour. She just had her mind set on it.
Drills that thing. I want to see every dumbass guy that's out there like, it's girls basketball. You go hit that shot, dude. You go take that thing 40 times and see how many of those go in.
You couldn't even get it to the rim.
Exactly.
You little bitch.
They're so skilled now. It's awesome.
All right. That doesn't wrap up last night in basketball. I have one other thing. Anthony Edwards. I want to talk about Anthony Edwards and something he said after the game about what's next for Anthony Edwards.
Oh, yeah. He's an interesting guy.
He's bringing something to the table next. You better wait. And then Tiger. Is he dead?
Tiger.
Here's Buck. right, we have some late-breaking golf news that I have to share with you because it's just so juicy.
It's not funny because it involves like someone's health, but it's funny.
It is kind of fun. It's kind of sad. I mean, Tiger Woods at this point, it's really hard to watch him.
Yes.
He's
a broken human being.
Yeah, he's trying so hard because he's so competitive, and it's just like, man, dude, this is not fun to watch. No. And he's not any good, and he's just.
I remember hearing like
he's
people
hobbling around.
I remember, and I was too young, obviously, or wasn't born for one of these, but I remember like listening to my parents talk about like seeing Willie Mays stumbling around the outfield for the Mets and Mickey Mantle's knees, Joe Namath with the Rams. And like for me, I remember like Emmitt Smith with the Cardinals. And it's just, you just see these broken shells. And I don't know if I've seen one quite like this. I mean, dude, Tiger Woods is like this larger than life figure. He's probably the most well-conditioned golfer of all time. And now he's just a shell.
The only thing that would be worse for him right now is if he were super fat and out of shape. But at least he's
ripped.
Yeah, he's kept up with his body as best he can, but he shouldn't have a leg.
No.
So it is amazing that he's out there competing, but at the same time,
he can't.
Since his car accident, he's played 6 tournaments. Yeah. He's withdrawn now 3 times. He withdrew today.
Yep.
3 of them he withdrew. 1 he missed the cut. 2 he actually made the cut. So that's, I guess, a testament to him. But he withdrew today because he was sick.
Yeah.
So they pulled him off. They pulled him off the course, and he's riding in the cart. And you don't really know what's wrong with him. And they take him into the clubhouse. Then all of a sudden, fire trucks and an ambulance show up.
Yeah.
And the report is that they're going to haul his ass out of there in an ambulance. And now, so then Dan Rappaport, who's a really good golf reporter, is actually in there or was around there. And he said he reported most recently that the paramedic came out of the room Tiger was in and said he's not coming out.
No.
So they're not taking him to the hospital. Nobody knows what the hell's wrong with him. He's a mess.
I know what's wrong.
He's got the trots.
Have you seen the video of him in the golf cart?
Yeah.
So he's in the golf cart and
sitting a little upright,
and he's doing a lean, and his hands are on his head. We've all been there.
You think he's got the trots?
I think he already did. I think he messed himself.
You know, there's a.
I think he pooed.
There's a conspiracy theory out there that the In-N-Out Burger kid.
It's the best photo. Buck showed it to
really
me.
Good.
It's the best photo on the internet right now.
Did you put that on the fan Twitter, Buck?
No, but I will do that now.
It's incredible.
Yeah, go to the fan Twitter at 1080 the fan or X, whatever. And Buck will throw it on there. It is the photo. So Tiger was eating In-N-Out Burger yesterday.
Yeah.
And there's photos and videos of him stuffing his face.
Yeah.
Well, behind him in one of the photos, a still shot, is the In-N-Out kid, because it was an In-N-Out Burger truck that they had on site there.
He's got his little paper hat on.
And he's got his little paper hat on, and he is staring down Tiger like he put something in his food. It's unbelievable.
It's a Michael Jordan pizza, the flu game. I think someone poisoned Tiger Woods.
Well, if they did, we know who it is.
That guy.
You can now find that photo on at 1080 the fan on X.
How anyone can look at the photo of that In-N-Out guy, and he's on his phone. You know, he's texting his buddy now.
He's side-eyeing Tiger.
He's like, mission accomplished.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it looks like. If you had to caption that photo, that's what you would say. Because he is typing on his phone, but he's looking at Tiger with side-eye, like dangerous eye.
Yeah.
And Tiger's walking away with his burger that's about to give him the trots.
Look at this. Look at this video of him riding the golf cart. Look at that lean. That is the look of disgust and shame of someone that just soiled themselves. I believe.
Look, I don't know, but it's pathetic at this point, man. I don't want to.
He's Joe Paterno.
He's my guy.
At least he's not. At least his body didn't like break. He just
his body is broken.
Well, he pooed himself. That's not breaking. That's just.
But even if he stayed out there,
so Paul pierced it. There was just no wheelchair.
Yeah.
The cart was the wheelchair.
What are you supposed to do? Imagine what hole did he withdraw on? Right?
He was like 5 or 6.
Yeah, 5. I think it was on 6. You just pooed yourself on national TV. God bless him. At least he's wearing black. And by the way, I think he knew what he was doing. I think he had an upset stomach beforehand. He's wearing all black. Imagine if he's wearing light gray.
Well, I've done that before.
Yeah, you have a little oopsie?
Well, no. I've had oopsies, but I've worn black because, it's like, things are a little dicey today. I better Better wear these ones. Just in case.
Vancouver Ford text line, when you're putting for a bird and you feel a little turd diarrhea. God,
you guys are
grow up. Yo, you can't. Tiger Woods messed himself. He Joe Paterno'd it. Has anyone had to withdraw from a major event due to the trots?
But why would they have an ambulance? Like,
well,
what was...
He's ill.
An ambulance?
Well, maybe he needed an IV. I don't know. Or maybe maybe this is a smokescreen because he doesn't want people to know that he pooed himself. What sort of illness do you have that requires an ambulance? And by the way, he didn't leave in the ambulance. It just showed up.
Well, there were 2 fire trucks in an ambulance.
Well,
and there was the thought that he was leaving in an ambulance and everybody was freaking out and all the cameras were over there like it was the president of the United States.
Well, he was.
And now he's staying in there.
He was very open about the shank. Someone was like, "What happened?" He's like, "Yeah, my back." I wonder if he's going to be open about this. Someone's like, "Tiger, you want to talk about the others?" He's like, "Yeah, I had the muds. What do you want?" Like, it happens. It happens to the best of us. I'm an old man now, but it is sad. In all honesty, it's sad to see this, and you wonder if he gets to the point where it just enough is enough and you're just an ambassador and you walk away.
I kind of want him to do that.
Yeah.
I just don't. That when he came back and won the Masters, that was magical.
Yes. And that was kind of the last time.
That was it.
You push the sun up into the sky one more time.
That was the last chapter.
Yes.
He can do whatever he wants. He wants to compete, go for it. It's just hard as a big Tiger fan. It's hard to watch.
Yeah.
I hate it.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to see, and even for someone that I don't like I'm trying to think of someone that I just I don't know, that I'm not a fan of. I don't know. Like let's take.
What about Luka?
Yeah.
You don't like him.
I'm not a big Luka guy.
He's kind of a donkey.
Well, LeBron's a better one. Like, I'm not a huge LeBron James guy. He's a lot for me. But if he, and he seems to be like ageless, but LeBron in 2 or 3 years, if he's trying to hang on to play with his kid, and you just I remember Fat Magic Johnson coming back from the AIDS thing.
That wasn't fun.
That was bad. And Fat Jordan, Jordan was still an okay player, but he was fat. It was weird to see chubby Michael Jordan out there and Magic trying to I don't want to see any of that. And I don't wish that upon people that I don't like, and certainly someone that you have a lot of respect for that truly is an all-time great. And yet every time he steps on the course, it's the story. And unfortunately, the story more and more is just this, body breaking down. And now we're, you got a bunch of idiots like us making fun of him because he probably had diarrhea.
I'm not making fun of him. I just think it's sad. You're making fun of him.
Well, look, it's funny that
Boy's ass.
It's kind of funny that the greatest athlete of all time with all these problems had to withdraw today, not because of his back, but because of his backside. And I love when they say illness. Okay, well, we didn't see you throwing up, so what illness is it, Tiger?
Maybe he's got COVID.
We all know what's going down here.
He's got the flu.
It's like when someone, like, what was it? Remember Zach Collins missed his debut game for the Blazers?
Oh, yeah.
They said intestinal discomfort. Yeah, we know what that means. You had the poos. It happens. Get some ammonium AD out there and let's do this. Poor Tiger.
Have you ever had to fight through that on a golf course?
No, I'll walk away. I'll leave.
Will you?
Yeah, I don't care.
See, I'll power through.
Really?
Yeah.
No, I'll straight up leave. Although the greatest thing I've ever seen in my life, I think you were there too, was the infamous Dan Persigal. I think it was number 9 at Langdon Farms.
Number 6.
6. Were you playing with us?
No, I heard about it.
We were playing the great Dan Persigal, who used to be a program director at one of our fine radio stations. And Dan was an all-timer. He was a phenomenal individual, a great dirty old man. Loved me some Dan. But he had like Crohn's disease. He had some issues. And we get up there on number 6, that little par 3.
He's a filthy human being.
Yes, he's a degenerate.
I'd just like to state, you guys, he was, if you were ready for an off-color joke.
It was great.
He's your guy.
I love him. And we were playing out at Langdon Farms, and we were on number 6, that little par 3 there. And before we even get out of the golf cart, Dan is up on the tee box, that little elevated tee, and he hits his shot. And we're like, what? And he just starts marching down towards the green. And we're like, what the hell is going on? And then he starts making a beeline to the right, and they were doing construction out there, and there was like a big kind of sand pit out there, and we just see Dan disappear over the horizon, and he comes back like a minute later, and he doesn't have a golf club. And we're like, what the hell was that? He had reached a point where he got up, hit his tee shot, and marched to that sand pit and took care of business with his golf glove and just came back.
By the way, they are saying officially, the statement is out. This is from Tiger Woods' team.
Mm-hmm.
He has flu-like symptoms, fever, dizzy, dehydrated.
There's the ambulance.
They said some type of flu,
mm-hmm.
and then they said they treated him with an IV bag.
Yeah, and some clean shorts.
God, he just won't stop.
Well, we know what it is.
You do not.
We know what it is.
No, you don't.
He left the course because he was feeling a little oogie. I don't think so. I don't think so, Tiger.
Would you like P1 Scott's joke?
Yes.
P1 Scott is in. He says this is a shame because Tiger has always had great command over his shark game.
I love it. It's good. It's good times.
Begs the question: would you rather have a shank or a shark? Yesterday was the shank. Today the shark.
Shank.
Yeah,
The shank.
the shank.
Yeah.
I can fight those off.
We're going to find out how good that Sunday Red apparel is. Find out what sort of quality we got there, Tiger.
All right. Up next, Jimmy Garoppolo costs himself some money. 351 on the Fan.
It's the Vancouver Ford text line.
Ooh, they're showing Tiger Woods leaving. Did he change his pants?
That's what I'm wondering. Did he change the pants?
Not in an ambulance. Not in a fire truck.
He's getting whisked away in a Audi.
That's a Genesis.
A Genesis. Oh, that's right, because it
has to be a Genesis.
It is the Genesis Open.
Right. Yeah, that would be breaking news if he was whisked away in an Audi.
I think they're smart enough to know that if they have to pull a Joe Paterno, you wear the same pants.
They gave 2 Genesises away today.
Zalatoris, he hit an ace.
Well, so if you get an ace on 14, you get a car and your caddy gets a car.
Yeah, they're doing Oprah thing. You get a car and I don't think Zalatoris needs one, but I'll bet you his caddy's like, hell yeah.
I do think that the golfer's car is nicer than the caddy's car, which is kind of funny.
If Zalatoris has any sort of balls,
they'll give him the good one.
Give him the good one. Come on. Come on, Will. You're doing just fine. Give your caddy the nicer one. It's like when Bumgardner won the MVP truck, and they were like, "You gonna give it to someone?" He's like, "Hell no!" So I'm driving this for myself.
That was when the dude said technology and stuff.
Yeah, the Iraq and such.
You're speaking Japanese.
All right, let's take a break, and when we come back, we'll talk about what Jimmy Garoppolo has done.
It's a very expensive Adderall prescription he got,
and we have audio of a college basketball coach being whiny, or is he right? Or is it both?
Could be.
357 on the Fan. All right. Welcome back. Pleased to have you along. Good Friday. Joey Harrington coming up next hour. We'll discuss Chip Kelly and Oregon to the Big Ten. He joins us at 5:30. We are about to be distracted because the NBA All-Star Celebrity Game is tipping off.
Get ready for a bunch of people that I have no idea who the hell they are.
Can I, before we get to Jimmy Garoppolo news, can I give you the rosters?
Please.
And boy, I was just looking through them.
Well, did you hear the important injury update from the last 24 hours?
No.
Stephen A. Smith, who's coaching one of those teams, had to go to the hospital because of an ankle injury when practicing with Micah Parsons, who he's coaching tonight. He missed his show today, but he has said, you better believe he'll be on that sideline tonight.
Jeez.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, because it was Shannon Sharp was the coach of one side and Stephen A. on the other.
You're making me uncomfortable.
Yeah, so it sounds like Micah crossed him up. He broke his ankles, and Stephen A. had to go to the hospital for it.
Micah Parsons.
I just remember Stephen A. Claiming that he was an athlete. I still remember that boxing video that he posted, and that weird wife beater just out there throwing bombs.
So
okay, Stephen A.
Team Shannon, coached by Shannon Sharp, has God, I don't even know how to pronounce Anul AA.
Anu who? Who the hell is that?
He's a Puerto Rican rapper.
Oh, not familiar with his work.
I'm sure that's not how you pronounce it, but that's how it looks. Kai Sanat.
Again, I'm going to go with, I don't know.
He is a Twitch streamer.
Yeah, I've noticed lately a lot of the people in this game are influencers and streamers.
Connor Daly is an IndyCar driver.
Okay, I'm 0 for 3.
Walker Hayes.
Now, he's a country guy, right?
Country artist.
Again, I couldn't pick him out of a lineup, but I've heard the name.
He sings that Fancy Like song, that Applebee's.
Oh, my God.
So, hardly a celebrity.
Okay.
Quincy Isaiah is an actor. He's the guy who played Magic Johnson on Winning Time.
Okay.
And he looks just like Magic Johnson.
I was going to say, that sounds very familiar. How depressing is it going to be if you play Magic Johnson, you look like Magic Johnson, and you play like S?
Well, I think he can play a little, can he?
I don't know.
Why did I say that? I have no idea.
Exactly. What are you going racist because he's black and looks like Magic?
Well, no, I watched the show. He looked like he had.
The story is like during when they filmed White Man Can't Jump with Woody Harrelson and Wesley Snipes. I guess they say Wesley Snipes can't play at all.
He sucked.
He's terrible.
And if you watch the movie, his like fancy move is like a spinning pass thing that he does. And he does it like 6 times because that's all they could get him to do.
So I saw an interview with Woody Harrelson. He goes, that it was so awkward because I assumed like when we met, like on the that they had hired, because Woody's a good basketball player, and so he and he said Wesley Snipes was a really good athlete, but they're like, oh my God, when they got him on the court, he could barely dribble, and they had to make it look like he was a great player.
I'm gonna have to go back and watch that, and
it looks really bad.
It does. Like now
that you know he can't play, when you see
watch for
the video, it's like,
really obvious.
It's like watching Tim Robbins in Bull Durham. Like, because Tim Robbins, same thing. Like, he couldn't throw a baseball. They were going to get like a body double, but it looked too bad. Like, they couldn't piece it all together, so they just had to make him throw the ball. And when you go back and watch Bull Durham, you're like, oh my God, like he's supposed to be this young prospect, and he throws like a 7-year-old. A 7-year-old. It's bad.
Tom Cruise always tries to look athletic in his movies, and he can like run and jump and like do some kind of acrobatic stuff. But if you watch him in like A Few Good Men try to play softball, he has the worst swing and throwing motion you've ever seen. And he's played sports in a bunch of movies where he probably shouldn't.
Jewel Lloyd is a WNBA player.
Okay.
Micah Parsons. Lily Singh is a YouTuber turned comedian. Sir S-I-R.
Can we not find?
Is a singer and songwriter.
Can we not find real celebrities anymore?
And Dylan Wang.
Who?
Dylan Wang, a Chinese actor.
All right.
That's Team Shannon. You ready for Team Stephen A?
So I knew Micah Parsons, and I had heard of 2 others.
See if this does anything for you. Lil Wayne.
All right. He may get my vote because we always have to do the who's going to take it way too seriously. I could see Lil Wayne taking this way too seriously.
Hasn't he been in this before?
I feel like Lil Wayne's been involved.
I think he's a multiple-time player in this, and I think he maybe is even. I don't know if he's won an MVP, but he definitely has tried in the past.
Yeah, he's gonna take it way too seriously. And of course, the WNBA players always take it way too seriously.
WNBA champion and MVP of the Las Vegas Aces, AJ Wilson. AJ.
I think they just announced her.
Meta World Peace.
Ooh, Ron Artest, huh?
He's gonna box somebody out hard.
Wait for him to stab someone with a chair leg.
Jack Ryan is a street baller and basketball entertainer who does juggling tricks.
Okay, there you go. He's who's going to take it way too seriously? That guy.
He thinks it's his audition for the NBA.
Exactly.
CJ Stroud.
Ooh. I wasn't aware that he was playing in this, but I guess CJ Stroud is a really good basketball player.
Really?
Yeah, I guess he played in high school. Someone was talking about this today. I'm trying to remember who it was. He dropped 40. He was playing a high school game, and it was against an NBA player, someone that would go on to be like a one and done, and Stroud dropped like 40 on him. So I guess
I saw this too. I'm trying to remember who it was now.
I guess he's a legit basketball player.
Gianmarco Tamberi. He's an Italian high jumper.
Okay. Oh, he'll throw a couple of dunks down.
Adam Blackstone, musical director, most notably was named director for Rihanna's 2023 Oscar performance.
So now we're just randomly, we're like, yeah, you're next to Rihanna, so here you go.
Natasha Cloud, WNBA. Jennifer Hudson.
Ooh.
You like her.
I do like me some Jennifer.
I'd like to watch her play basketball.
Yeah. She's going to get my vote for MVP regardless of what she does.
Tristan Jass. He is a social media personality, most notable for his YouTube skits doing impressions of NBA players on the court.
Oh, boy.
AJ McClain.
It's a Backstreet Boy, right?
Backstreet Boy. And Kwame Onwarachi.
I don't know.
Nigerian-American chef and author of the book Notes from a Young Black Chef.
Am I wrong in saying that this is by far the worst celebrity group that we've ever put together?
Nobody wants to play in that game.
I mean, it's gotten bad. Where's the Kevin Harts of the world? Didn't we had a congressman at one point, right? Or like a treasury secretary? We had like that old dude.
Pete Buttigieg was out there?
Yeah, and we have old Petey. This is what we're reduced to.
By the way, Suk, the player you're looking for, Jaime Jaquez. CJ Stroud dropped 40 on Jaime Jaquez in high school.
Yeah. So let's see if CJ Stroud takes it seriously and then blows out his knee. That'll be fun.
Ooh.
Well, I mean, it's a little weird. He's out there.
Parsons and Stroud.
That's why those guys aren't going to win MVP. They're not going to play hard.
Yeah.
Hey, dude, if you are the Houston Texans, you're telling CJ Stroud right now, you better walk your ass up and down the court and don't go near anyone.
You're walking 3-point line to 3-point line, and you're just shooting open jumpers. That's it.
Yes, sir. Imagine him going up and some YouTube douchebag undercutting CJ Stroud.
You can look up some of the old highlights of this. There are some 90s ones where it's like Griffey and Barry Bonds are out there, and these guys are really playing. Like, I think Chris Carter did one of these, Randy Moss, and they're throwing down huge dunks and lobs, and I can't imagine it in today's NFL, anyone doing anything like that.
People are also saying that Puka Nacua is playing, and I did see him briefly up on the TV where we've got it on in the studio here, and I didn't see him on the roster, so he may have been a replacement or something.
I don't know.
But Puka is out there too.
Well, and that dude's just an athlete. I knew some guys down at BYU that said that dude's just a freak. Like,
well, let's see it.
I don't know if he can. I don't know if
can
he's
he dunk over Jennifer Hudson?
I would like to do some things over Jennifer Hudson. I can't dunk, but I'm a big fan of what Jennifer Hudson has going on. Big fan.
All right, so the Celebrity All-Star Game is about to get underway, and it usually derails us.
Oh, 100%.
Buckle up.
Yeah.
Jimmy Garoppolo, cut, suspended, fined. Life's not going very well for Jimmy G today. We'll get to that next on The Fan.
Yeah.
like this celebrity game lineup is terrible.
Yes.
Lil Wayne qualifies, and the athletes like Stroud, Parsons, of course, we know them because we're sports guys. But Jennifer Hudson, like that's a real star.
Yes.
Playing in this game. And then the rest of them are just a bunch of scrubs.
Yes. She EGOTs. She's one of 19 people ever to EGOT.
Right.
And if you don't know what that is, that's the old
Emmy, Grammy,
Tony, Academy Award.
Yeah.
That was like the whole 30
Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, Tony, which is EGOT.
EGOT. 19 people ever. And somehow she's roped into being with a bunch of idiot Twitch streamers and influencers.
Why does she want to play in this?
I don't know. Well, my guess is she probably wants to be around a bunch of hot NBA guys, and I don't blame her. It's probably a good play.
Look at him. He looks like young Magic Johnson.
He does.
That's unbelievable.
I would hope he's there because Jennifer Hudson's there.
Look, Jennifer Hudson's there because he's there.
Again, look, if I was some B-level, or in this case, probably D-level celebrity.
Meaning she wants to get him.
And they were like, hey, I think Jennifer Hudson wants to meet you. She's playing in this All-Star game. I'd be like, yeah, I'm playing in this All-Star game too.
It's a good point. Like if you're Jennifer Hudson and they say, hey, would you like to play in the NBA All-Star game? She's like, no. Well, here's the list of players. And then she looks on there and she sees, that guy. She's
Quincy.
Like, oh.
Yeah, was it Isaiah Quincy?
Yeah, she's like, he's kind of hot.
Micah Parsons, perhaps?
Micah Parsons, he's single. I'll play.
Oh, if I'm Micah Parsons, realize that Travis Kelce on his podcast talked about shooting his shot, and he landed Taylor Swift. If I'm Micah Parsons, I'm using that as an inspiration, and I'm taking my swing at the All-Star game. Let's just say I'm boxing out Jennifer Hudson, and maybe we tumble to the ground.
I hate to say this, but I bet you he has no idea who she is.
That's disappointing.
I
don't know. I would hope so.
I think it's very possible.
Yeah.
That's a very real possibility.
I like Micah Parsons. I want to believe that he wants to know what's
How old is Jennifer Hudson? Look her up because she might be the old lady of this whole thing.
It's possible.
And doesn't that make you feel old?
Well, I am old.
She's 42.
Oh, gosh, she's 40. Micah Parsons doesn't.
He doesn't know who she is.
No.
He's probably more excited about one of the YouTube influencers or streamers.
Well, Jennifer, you can
it's a young man's game.
If you're interested in an old, washed-up radio host out here in Portland, go ahead and give me a call.
All right, so Garoppolo, Jimmy G, who was going to be cut by the Raiders anyway, right? Right or no?
Well,
I thought they were going to move on from him.
It didn't matter. They were going to have to pay him either way. So
he cost himself $11
and some change
million today.
Yes,
because he was suspended 2 games for violating the league's performance-enhancing drug policy.
And it's weird because it's the performance-enhancing drug policy, but non-performance enhancing. He was using a prescription without a therapeutic exemption. He was using Adderall. This happens all the time. And
you have to get that cleared.
There's like 200 and something, by the way, people that apparently have Adderall prescriptions. You have to get it cleared. It's something along those lines, and that's the most expensive Adderall that's ever been taken.
Why did he lose $11 million?
Because
they cut him.
In his contract, you can void it. I mean, he has language in his contract for if you get busted for performance-enhancing drugs. And even though this isn't technically performance-enhancing, which is why it's the 2 games, it's still under that category that the contract can now be voided, and thanks for coming, you're gone. So they can just flush him. So,
and they did, right? Didn't they cut him today? I thought he got already cut.
I haven't seen it, but I would assume they're going to, because the talk was that they were going to move on from him, and this saves them $11.2 million. And they can just waive it and be done.
God.
And there was a potential out after this coming year. So, there was some talk that they were going to keep him around just not to eat that. But he basically gave them a get out of jail free card. And, Jimmy's 33 and he's made plenty of money, but he's not signing an $11 million deal. Like, no one's going to actually bring him in to be the starter. Maybe he'd be a bridge guy backup, but.
Yeah, where would he go?
I don't know.
What's a good fit?
I mean, I could see someone
back to New England?
It's possible, if New England wanted to move on from Mac Jones and they went and got a young quarterback, he could be a bridge guy. Like what happened with Atlanta last year with like Ritter and Heineke. If Minnesota moves on from Cousins and they need a guy to be a bridge guy, he's going to be someone like that.
Did you read that thing coming out about the Patriots quarterback room with Mac Jones?
Oh yeah.
They said Bailey Zappi, it got so bad, it's so toxic, and it's all Mac Jones. Like, nobody likes Mac Jones.
No.
They said Bailey Zappi would watch film in a different room.
It's so bad.
I actually wanted to ask Suk about this. I guess I don't totally get it when a guy like Mac Jones, who is very mediocre and still carries that kind of pea and vinegar. You know what I'm saying? Like and you've been around guys who I'm sure are great athletes and total jerks, but like it's odd to me when it's a middling to struggling guy who's giving off that vibe. Does that happen a lot?
I think it's usually pretty rare that you have this kind of attitude and you're not good. But look, guys are jerks. Some guys just aren't liked. You see it more with people that are better. I mean, the better you are, the more you can be.
You get more grace for that stuff.
Well, yeah, you can just do whatever you want. So to be so unlikable and not be very good, I think it speaks to who you are. And it may speak to, just kind of his. I mean, Mac Jones waited in line at Alabama, right? Becomes the guy at Alabama, wins a national title, goes to New England, is the successor to Tom Brady, makes a Pro Bowl, has some success early, and now everything's falling apart. I mean, that's a hell of a ride, and maybe he doesn't know how to handle it. And by the way, Bill's not an easy guy to get along with. I mean, have you seen the stuff with Brady? I mean, they're like more and more is coming out about that.
Well, there's a documentary on it.
Yeah, and Brady said under no circumstances was he going to sign up for more Bill Belichick. And Julian Edelman said that it was like an abusive relationship. He said it was like an owner beating his dog. And so realize that that's also what Mac Jones has been dealing with. If Bill's that way to Tom Brady, what the hell has he been doing with Mac Jones?
And that's probably where a lot of it comes from.
Yes. So you probably have, and I guarantee that Bill's playing Zappy against Jones, and it's a bad beat, which is why if I'm Mac Jones, one, I'm happy that he's gone, and two, maybe it's just time for a fresh start. Go somewhere else where you don't have to deal with this locker room, and you can kind of. You can kind of just get a fresh start. But there are guys that just aren't liked. And a lot of those guys do find themselves out of the NFL because if you're like this, you won't be a backup. Like a lot of guys can hang around the league. Marcus is this way. Mariota's not a starting quarterback, but Marcus will keep getting jobs because he's a good locker room guy. You can do that for a number of years, but if you're an ass and you're not a starter, he's going to find himself out of this league.
I wonder what Saban says about Mac Jones because he coached him in college, and he's buddies with Belichick. Yeah. I wonder. I don't know. I wonder if, now that we're talking through this, I wonder if more of it's not on Belichick and Mac Jones could go somewhere and be a decent little, quarterback.
It's weird to think of the success he had as a rookie and that since then it has just been just straight downhill into the side of the mountain. And
Tom Brady left there and won a Super Bowl, so I'm not saying Mac Jones will do that, but maybe Mac Jones would flourish somewhere else. Maybe it's really so bad and toxic there, it's not all his fault, and he could...
I think Mac will get another shot somewhere. I think he's shown enough in that first year.
Another shot.
I would. Again, I wouldn't bring him in to be my starter, but I would bring him in to see if I could do something with him.
Would you rather have him or Garoppolo?
I'd rather have him.
Yeah.
I think at this point with Jimmy, you know what Jimmy is. You know that you can't really rely on him because he's hurt all the time. And I think with an elite team around him, when he's healthy, Jimmy's fine and he can win you some games. But if you gave me the choice between two players, I'll always go with the one where I don't know what the upside is as opposed to the one where I know. Because in the NFL, I don't need a guy that's going to win me 8 games. I just never understood that. Winning 8 or 9 games, I don't care.
You'd rather have upside.
I'd rather have upside. And if I miss on that guy, then at least I know after a year, cool.
Does Fields still have upside?
Fields still has upside. I'm not in love with Justin Fields, but Fields absolutely has upside because he shows you glimpses. But if I'm Chicago, I'm moving on from him because one, with Fields, I think he's shown you enough where there's upside, but there's also a lot of downside. And remember that your clock with rookie quarterbacks with Fields is about to run out. So I'm not a huge believer in Justin Fields. I think Fields is going to settle in as a 9-win quarterback. Well, and I just think that's a terrible place to be in the NFL is that 9 to 10 win quarterback that as long as I put a bunch around him, I can win with him, but he's not going to win me a bunch of games. And pretty soon he's going to get real expensive. And before I know it, I'm just stuck in mediocrity. No, flush it. And I will always take the chance on the young guy that could develop into a true franchise quarterback.
Earlier in the week, I saw odds on Pittsburgh Steelers' next starting quarterback, and Justin Fields is plus 125. Very close to even there.
Yeah, I was watching Get Up this morning, and they were talking about Fields, and they said Pittsburgh or Atlanta.
Yeah.
Seem to be the two places where they've got their eye on him.
And Fields gets a lot of love. You can draw your own conclusions why, but there's a lot of the talking heads that just want to push the Justin Fields narrative. And he gets, and this doesn't happen with a lot of young quarterbacks. It's usually the other way around where we want to drag young quarterbacks. But Fields continues to be propped up, and there are some things there. He's a good athlete. He moves around, and I know he's been under some tough circumstances, but most of the time at this point, if you look at his numbers and you go through the history of quarterbacks that are like this, the amount of times that works out long term, boy, you're asking him to defy all history of the NFL, and you could see him because there are some flashes there. I just think at this point in your NFL career, you've put enough on tape, and if Chicago decides to stick with Fields, it is it's a ballsy move. That's all I'll say. It's a ballsy, risky move because in 2 years you're going to have to make that decision to pay him again, and the most valuable time in a quarterback in the NFL is the first 5 years when you have him under cost control.
You know the other guy they were talking about to Pittsburgh, Russell Wilson.
Yeah, because
Denver's they're gonna let him go.
They're gonna let him go, and Denver's gonna have to eat a lot of money and a lot of crow on that.
Raiders or Steelers for him.
Yeah, and seeing that,
that works. That makes sense. Both of those actually make sense.
Broncos orange, let's ride.
Let's ride.
But Fields will be a starter next year in the NFL. Whether it's in Chicago or whether it's in Pittsburgh or whether it's Atlanta.
I'd see Atlanta.
Yeah.
Isn't he from down there?
He went to Georgia. I don't know if he's from there, but he started out in Georgia. There's talk about New England and, I think he, but for all these places, like if I was Justin Fields, I think I would probably want to go to Atlanta because I think with Fields, he's going to need to be surrounded by a good group of people. I don't think like Fields going to New England. Okay, you thought it was bad in Chicago. I give you the New England Patriots. Whereas Atlanta, you have two good running backs. You have a tight end. You got a receiver. You got a couple tackles. Like there's some stuff to like about Atlanta's offense.
And he is from there, by the way. Went to high school there.
So if I'm Fields, that's where I'm pushing to go to. Is give me some weapons. They just hired
Raheem Morris.
Okay, all right. Did you see one last thing? Little Super Bowl thing. I'll corkscrew in here. Did you see that George Kittle video that came out?
Yeah, the on the fumble,
mic'd up.
That's so stupid.
Yeah, I was wondering what you thought about that. So on the Christian McCaffrey fumble on that first series, Kittle is fighting with what's his nuts, Karlaftis.
George Karlaftis.
Both named George, and Kittle has his back to the fumble.
And he had a really nice block on Karlaftis.
And he's mic'd up.
Yeah. He's like 3 or 4 yards ahead of the play.
Yeah.
And he said, and right as the ball is laying on the ground, Kittle's being goofy and is like, "Hey George," he says, "Hey George" to Karlaftis, and then Karlaftis says nothing, sees the ball and dives on it. So of course people are taking that as Kittle was goofing off and wasn't paying attention.
This is so effing stupid. Let me just state for the record. How the hell is George, even if he says nothing, how the hell is George Kittle supposed to see a play that's happening behind him? How is he supposed to know that Christian McCaffrey, who's 3 yards behind him, who never fumbles, is fumbled? Who cares? Like, people say stuff after every play, people are saying something. And he wasn't talking he just was like, "Hey, what's up, George?"
He just said, "Hey, George."
And it just so happens that Karlaftis was looking at the ball. That's just,
had he not said a word, Kittle still would have had no chance on that play.
No,
right.
Stuff drives.
He couldn't see it.
No, right. Stuff just drives me nuts. It's like when there was a play where Mahomes got hit, and people were saying that he was looking for the flag, and people were like, "Oh, you're being a bitch. You're looking for the flag." He wasn't. He was looking up at the scoreboard to see if the pass was completed. Do you know how many times as a lineman that I'm blocking and I had no idea what happened on the play? None whatsoever. Like you hear the crowd and then you look up, you're like, "What the, huh? What?" And you either see a running back like 20 yards downfield or the quarterback's on the ground, and you turn to the guy next to you and you're like, "Hey dude, what the hell happened?" He's like, "I don't know." Like 70% of the guys on a football field have no idea what happened on the play. No clue. But we're going to sit there and try to drag George Kittle. That stuff is it's horse nears.
All right. Coming up next. Oh, we're already in the news.
Yes, we are.
You guys like ITN?
I love ITN.
Fired up. Today we have, oh boy, do we have a story for you. KGW, local TV station. They have stepped in it.
Oh.
Have you seen this? Have you seen what they did?
I don't think so.
Yeah. They had to issue an apology.
Oh, man.
You sounded like Dave Bartu right there.
Right. Oh, man. Oh, man. Me and Dave simpatico.
Here is Buck with SportsCenter.
Now,
Joey Harrington coming up next hour. We are, I don't know about you, but the Celebrity All-Star Game usually grabs my attention more so than it has this year.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie, mainly because I don't know anybody.
Well, I can't really tell who's who either.
I know. It all just kind of blends in. This little white dude with the bad Amish beard, I don't know who that is, but
nice dime.
He's out there throwing dimes.
It's a tight game. Stephen A.
Who is this guy? It looks
I think he's the one that does the basketball.
Impressions.
Impressions.
Okay. He looks like someone from Missouri. Like he belongs like in Ozark or something.
Well, there's that Walker whatever guy out there that does the Applebee's song. He's in there. So maybe, is that him? Maybe.
No, that's not him.
Okay.
I've seen him. He's more handsome than that little goober. Stephen A. 20, Shannon 14.
Have we seen Stephen A.'s ankle yet? Because I'm not watching.
Yeah, he doesn't have. You can't tell. I mean, he's limping around, but he doesn't. He's not like he's on crutches.
He is yelling and screaming a lot on the sidelines,
and he's got the rolled up paper like a coach.
Jeez.
I'm
waiting for the cool. Someone. This is the high jumper who keeps dunking. That's all. He's got the man bun.
Is that the Italian guy?
Yeah, he just wants to prove that he can dunk. We get it.
Dude, that guy's a weapon.
Yeah. Well, he's the only one that's an actual.
Somebody guard that guy.
I don't think there's any guarding in this game. I keep waiting to see something cool with the LED floor, though.
I don't think this is the LED floor, is it?
I think, right? Isn't this the LED floor?
It should be the same one for all the events, right?
Okay.
I think so, yeah, because look, they got that spinning thing down in the key.
Yeah, all right. I mean, I think it looks cool.
I know, but I want to see something happening.
Especially in a game that literally means nothing.
Exactly.
Like, let's go wild on this.
It is February 16, 2024. It's time for the news. Hello.
You all right?
Yeah.
Did you just have a stroke?
No, I didn't.
Thank God.
Today is Do a Grouch a Favor Day.
Oh.
So what can I do for you? See what I did there?
Ah, you're so funny.
Actually, I'm more grouchy than you are usually. So you could do me a favor.
What would you like? They do something nice.
Do you have a nice Syrah? Today's National Syrah Day. I like a good Syrah.
Do you?
Yeah.
I don't have one. Sorry. Oh, there you go. Now that I see, now they're doing something. the LED cord. Someone hit a 4-pointer and then the entire floor lit up with a revolving 4-point like logo.
It does look. Now that I see it a little closer, the floor is definitely. What's the word? It illuminates. I don't know what I'm saying. It definitely looks different.
Yes.
How about that?
Yeah. Well, that was the first time I saw someone hit a 4-point shot and the entire floor changed. That's what I'm looking for.
A television station in Portland, Oregon has apologized today for inadvertently showing a racist image during a program aimed at highlighting positive stories.
No. Strong.
They're like, community leader, and then they showed a swastika behind it.
KGW-TV displayed the image Thursday evening during The Good Stuff, which includes a Throwback Thursday segment sharing cheesy, silly, or memorable photos submitted by viewers. The image, seemingly from the 1950s, depicted children throwing balls toward a sign prominently displaying the N-word.
Ah!
God! How does that get on the air?
Maybe the kids were throwing the balls because they were angry about the racism.
Yeah.
Maybe they were trying to.
I'm sure that was the case in 1950.
Maybe they were trying to throw out the racism as opposed to, hey, let's all celebrate this written on the sign. That's uncomfortable.
KGW has issued a statement.
Of course they have.
We understand the profound hurt this image inflicted upon our viewers and staff, particularly members of our black community. To those who were exposed to the image and were hurt by it, we offer our sincerest apologies. KGW has a policy of thoroughly screening all content for standards and accuracy before broadcast, but failed to uphold it.
How did someone not see the N-word written on a sign?
Dude, by the way, when TV stations tell you they have a thorough screening content process, bullsh. You got some kid in there who's supposed to be looking stuff over who's half high.
I've worked at those places. There's one person who's in their 20s sitting at an assignment desk who's asking people if it's okay to use their video or photo, and that's it.
Exactly. Oh, yes, our policy standards are...
Hey, I can't tell you about it because it's proprietary, but trust us, Sean. We're thorough. Don't worry about it. I would think that the N word on a sign would be easy to spot, but to be fair,
prominent.
Well, is there a photo of it?
No,
because I haven't seen it.
But it said prominent.
Well,
prominently displayed. Portland Mayor Ted Wheeler had to weigh in.
Oh, tear gas Teddy's
because he never misses an opportunity to look good.
No.
He called on the station to address the issue and make sure it never happens again. Thanks, Ted. Jesus.
Oh, God. How about just this? Anytime there's a video from a cookout from the 1950s, maybe just be careful. Maybe just
how about this? Look at it before you put it on the air. Look at it. Open your eyes. Use your rods and cones.
Yeah.
Not hard.
Yeah. Well, maybe, I don't know. Maybe they thought it said something else.
God. Yeah, it's where the hard dudes are. People across the country often bemoan changing their clocks forward and backward every year. We talked about this yesterday.
Yeah.
Oregonians could soon be facing a reprieve from daylight saving time, Jason. I told you the committee vote was yesterday.
Yeah. What do we got?
They passed it unanimously. So the bill proposing the abolition of the 1 hour time change between standard time and daylight saving time advances. It is called Senate Bill 1548. Will now go to a, let's see, what does it do now? It goes to a floor debate.
Oh, I was hoping there was a committee involved.
They will debate it. No, this was the committee, and they approved it. So that sends it to a floor debate, and then it faces a vote from the House and the Senate. But if passed, Oregon on its own would join Arizona and Hawaii as staying on standard time.
I still just can't see how this works with Washington.
Well, they'll join soon.
I was going to say, you have to get Washington on board. There are so many people in Southwest Washington and vice versa that cross that border.
Yeah, they'll follow. Why wouldn't they? I mean, like, who?
I don't know.
Why would you fight that?
I mean, I guess to the people in Seattle, it's not that big a deal, but for anyone that cross commutes, and there's a ton of us, that's a little awkward. So get Washington on board, and then I'm on board.
All right, up next, the unsafe way. It is 4:45 on the Fan.
This is the Fan's Window into Sports, a view into today's top stories. Brought to you by Window Nation, online at windownation.com.
Hey, let me tell you something. Y'all can make fun of the Nazis. Hey, that guy got better job security than a Supreme Court justice. Not in reading my book on the sideline. The Greek bleak.
Oh, my God. That's Shaq last night. They were making fun of Thanasis.
That's right. We talked about it.
The nepotism of him being in the league. But
he's got better job security. He ain't going anywhere.
Giannis's brother.
Hell yeah. Hey, what do you do for a living? I'm Giannis's brother.
The Fan's Window into Sports is brought to you by Window Nation. Get 50% off all styles of windows, plus pay nothing with no interest for 2 full years at windownation.com.
Play golf where it's always warm.
Like KGWs.
They were out there, and they arrived just in time to catch this woman adding a few letters to the Safeway sign.
Oh. And that would be...
Do you care to guess what she put on there?
Was it the N word?
No. But there is an N in it.
What could you add to Safeway?
Well, she put
that's what I was going to guess.
Unsafe?
The unsafe way.
Unsafeway.
Safeway is no longer safe?
Correct. So the woman whose first name is Jennifer soon spotted KATU and came over to their news van to complain that this area is not safe. Especially after her friend had been stabbed to death in the parking lot over the weekend.
Whoa.
Yes. A man was killed Sunday morning in the parking lot at 1:30 in the morning.
Good Lord.
43-year-old dude.
Now, I am not trying to minimize someone's death in any shape or
I think we're thinking the same here.
But I am going to ask the question. Safeway is not open at 1:30 in the morning. Why are you in the parking lot of a Safeway at 1:30 in the morning? Just asking. Not saying he deserved it.
Well,
merely asking the question.
Yeah, I mean, I don't get why this is on Safeway.
Yes.
Why is it unsafeway?
Yeah.
Now, if you're saying the area is unsafe, that's one thing. But Safeway, like, I don't know.
Yeah.
What they do?
Here's my thing. If at 1:30 in the morning, I am not active in my driveway. If someone is murdered in my driveway at 1:30 in the morning, I do not believe that responsibility falls upon me. Just like I don't think Safeway can be blamed for someone being murdered in their parking lot when their store is not open. I'm not sure what would you like Safeway? Do you want them to have like alligator pits? That I would think would make it like less safe.
I think what she's saying is, I guess they're showing photos of a homeless encampment that's right there.
Yeah.
And she wants it, she wants that out of there.
Well, again,
she called Ted Wheeler.
I get it, but I
guess Teddy.
I still would like to know was the man homeless that got stabbed?
Doesn't say.
I need more details.
I don't have them.
Well, I'll tell you what.
Maybe you need to call KATU.
I will not be going to that unsafe way at 1:30 in the morning, but
they're on your side.
I also feel like 1:30 in the afternoon, if I do needed to pick up some, I don't know, maybe I was looking for some chicken tendies.
In the afternoon or the morning?
In the afternoon.
Yeah.
I feel like I could go to that Safeway and feel okay. I will not be going there in the middle of the night.
Top 10 states with the highest STDs.
Oh. Go Oregon?
Do you think Oregon's on the list?
Well, I don't know why you'd bring it up if it didn't.
Huh. Really?
I'm going to say we're 7th.
Excellent deductive reasoning.
Bunch of filthy bastards.
We are not on the list.
Oh. Washington, maybe?
Also not on the list.
So basically what you're saying is everyone out there just full raw. We're good. Do whatever you want. Isaac Ropp says no STDs in the Pacific Northwest.
I wasn't expecting that.
Have at it.
You to say that.
Well, that's what you basically
that's
you're
not
inferring.
What I'm saying.
That is what you're saying.
Kids, that is not. Wrap it up.
That's not what you're saying.
Wrap it up.
You're saying we're safe. You heard
the
it here
U.S.
first.
saw more than 2.5 million cases of key sexually transmitted infections in 2022. That's not that many.
No.
2.5 mil?
I feel like
you happy with that number?
I feel like we're doing pretty good.
I'm happy with that number.
I can live with that.
Number 10, Arizona.
Makes sense. A lot going on.
Surprised they're not higher.
A lot going on down in Arizona.
Why would you say that?
Have you been to Arizona?
Yes. I mean, just Arizona and Arizona State alone are notorious for that.
Yeah, I would think that's a breeding ground. Nevada's going to be number 1.
Number 9, Arkansas. Number 8, North Carolina. Number 7, Alabama. Number 6, South Carolina. Number 5, Georgia. Okay, we are finally.
Yeah, we're in the.
We're through the South.
Yeah,
Or are we?
So basically, if you're going to the South, just let it be known you're picking something up.
Number 4, Alaska.
Interesting. My homeland.
Number 3, South Dakota.
Really? South Dakota?
Yeah, how about that?
Huh. Wouldn't necessarily think
syphilis rate really high there.
I guess. I had no idea.
Number 2, Louisiana.
Back to the South.
And number 1.
New Orleans alone, right? It's Nevada. It's got to be Nevada.
Florida? Did you say Florida already?
Oh, that's good. Florida.
See, Florida is what I would guess.
I was thinking Vegas.
The state with the highest STD rates, Mississippi.
think what you're seeing there in general, and you hear this a bunch, the South and the healthcare, it's just where they struggle.
Total STD rate 1,264 per 100,000 peeps.
Be careful.
Chlamydia quite high.
Who would have thought Florida not on the list?
Gonorrhea less high. Florida not on the list. Yeah, Florida, Oregon, Washington, you're doing great.
That's a bit of an upset.
Yep. California?
Yeah. So again, guys, just dab at it. And gals. Get her done.
I was trying to find the bottom of the list, but I can't. They don't. This data does not show it.
It says the South owns it. Yeah, they do. I think they're proud of that. They put up signs. Number one in STDs 7 years in a row. Like if you go out to Iceland or any of the Scandinavian countries, their big deal is all the Scandinavian countries are top like 10 in the happiness index. And there's signs like everywhere about it, letting you know that they're the happiest people in the world. You think the South is like that with STDs?
I ain't getting no jab, man.
Number 4 in chlamydia, number 1 in your hearts.
I'll take my chances.
Mississippi. Let's go.
All right, that's in the news. Feb 16, 2024. The Hot 5 at 5 is coming up next. Wait till you hear what happened with Tiger Woods. We do have charges in the Super Bowl celebration shooting. And believe it or not, Pac-12 news. All next on The Fan.
Here's to everyone who was made to shine. From
All right, welcome back. Hope you're having a nice little Friday. It's your Sports Bros, Rop and Sook. I'm Rob. Big Sook right over there.
Right here.
Dead sir.
Just taking in some NBA Celebrity All-Star Game, where apparently the theme this year is people trying to prove that they can dunk.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really all we're seeing so far.
Hudson throwing down, is she?
Micah Parsons, Puka, that high jumper, a couple others.
Did Puka dunk?
Yeah, Puka threw down.
How tall is that dude?
Oh, I think Puka's like 6 foot. 5'11", 6 foot.
Damn, dude.
Dude's an athlete. Again, I think the only reason that he and Micah Parsons are playing in this, one, probably there's some serious side action going on.
Puka's 6'2".
He's 6'2", bigger than I thought. Oh. And again, they're proving that they can dunk. It's a big deal in the athletic world when you can dunk. Every non-basketball player wants to prove.
Yeah, but if you were in the celebrity game, and you could dunk, you would.
Yeah.
You would certainly want to show that.
That's the whole... Micah Parsons is there to prove that he can dunk. That's the only reason why he's there. That and the sideline reporters. And this weird white dude, this hillbilly guy, this guy's fascinating. He's straight out of the Ozarks with his neck beard.
I bet he has an STD.
He's from the South.
By the way,
somewhere.
The jokes are coming in hot and heavy on the STDs in the South.
The South, it just itches more. That from Deal.
Just means more penicillin.
Yeah. Look, it's different down there in the South. You can't
spell the Deep South without STD, and the South just can't spell.
Good times.
Good times.
And if we don't know what we're talking about, apparently the South is riddled with STDs.
Well, they have the highest rates of STDs of any states.
Almost exclusively in the South. That and Alaska and the Dakotas for some unknown reason.
All right. Well, coming up here, we will have Joey Harrington at 5:30. We'll talk about Chip Kelly to Ohio State and the state of Oregon football as it heads to the Big Ten. In our next segment, I've got college basketball coach audio where, I kind of get tired of these coaches whining about NIL.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I totally get it.
I think this guy makes a point.
And this guy, what he says, it's like he puts it in a pretty good perspective.
Yeah. Everyone's dealing with it. People are tired of hearing about it, but the truth of the reality, or the reality of the whole situation is that this is probably the number one concern of every coach now in the world of college athletics.
I think he does a nice job summing up why we're seeing such an exodus from college sports from some of the older coaches.
So we'll get to that next. Coming up in the club, will it work? Miami Beach is trying to break up with spring break.
What?
Have you seen that?
No.
So, spring breakers go there and there's all kinds of violence and
it is an absolute
it's a problem.
S show.
They hate it. Yeah. And they're now, I will tell you what they are trying to do to stop people from coming there. You tell me if you think it will work.
The only place in the world that's like, please stop coming here. I kind of enjoy this.
And we have another case of, wait, he shoved what? Where?
Ooh.
Yeah.
It's never a good thing.
Right now, the Hot 5 at 5.
Oh! Hot topics, hot opinions.
Oh, golly, I'm hot today.
And hot air. It's time for the Hot 5 at 5.
That's hot.
The Hot 5 at 5 on Primetime with Isaac and Sue.
No, I mean it. That's very hot.
The Hot 5 at 5 with Isaac and Sue. Brought to you on The Fan by Victor Rico's Mexican Food, the most popular burrito spot in Oregon. Online at victorricos.com. Number 5.
Well, we knew this was coming, but Nike announces a resizing. 2% of its workforce will be laid off.
I like when they resize. Yeah, it's just code for we're chopping an S ton of jobs. Yeah. And they say that more could be coming.
Tiger Woods had to withdraw today from the Genesis Invitational, his own damn golf tournament.
Yeah. Not because of his back or his leg.
Nope.
Nice.
He says he was sick.
He's sick. AKA, I got the runs.
Flu-like symptoms. He says he was dizzy and dehydrated. Almost went to the hospital in a ambulance.
Yeah, they brought out a fire truck and an ambulance, but apparently got an IV and some clean shorts, and then they took him out in a car.
As for the tournament, by the way, he was 1 over when he left. 1 over did make the cut.
Yeah.
But he had a long way to go, so who knows if he would have made it.
It was like on hole 6, I think, when he bowed.
Patrick Cantlay is your leader. He is 13 under, and he leads by 5.
Crispy.
Going into the weekend over Luke List, Jason Day, and Mackenzie Hughes. It's a pretty good little leaderboard, though. Will Zalatoris is 6 under. Xander Schauffele, also 6 under. Tony Finau, Hideki Matsuyama, 5 under.
Zalatoris went 29 on the front today.
And he
Scotty Scheffler, 4 under.
Yeah, he hit an ace and won a car for him and his caddy.
And Scotty Scheffler had a meltdown where he chucked his ball. That was going around Twitter today.
Where he what?
He threw his ball. He was so upset.
Oh. Yeah, I saw he made double bogey. Anyway, where are we? Pac-12 Board of Directors, meaning the Beavers and the Cougs,
pretty much,
announced that they have mutually agreed to part ways with Commissioner George Kliavkoff.
And he's gone. Finally.
This will be, well, he's not gone yet.
Well,
this will be effective February 29th.
So
he wants 2 more weeks of pay.
I'm guessing that for the next however many days, the next 2 weeks, that George isn't going to be doing a lot of things.
I'm very confident.
Yeah. They are saying more details about new leadership of the Pac-12 will be announced next week. What do you think that means?
Well, they got to hire someone to try to figure out what the hell's going on. I mean, they bought themselves 2 years.
Aren't they in bed with Ozzy?
You okay? With Ozzie Smith? No, not
Oliver Luck. Didn't they say Oliver Luck's helping him?
Yes,
try to navigate
he's
this?
some sort of consultant, so maybe he's the guy. But they're going to have to figure out someone to put in charge, because whether you merge with the ACC, whether you merge with the Mountain West, you try to rebuild on your own. They got 2 years to figure it out. Really, they've got about a year and some change to figure out what they want to do.
Quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo suspended 2 games for violating the NFL's performance-enhancing drug policy. The suspension is related to a prescription medication he did not have a therapeutic use exemption for.
Most people are saying that this is likely Adderall. A lot of guys take it, but you do need an exception for it. Because they're saying it's under the performance enhancing, but it's not steroids, it's not HGH, so it makes sense that it's something in the Adderall line. And by the way, if that's true, that's the most expensive Adderall prescription of all time, because it voids his contract at this point. So the Raiders, if they want, can just be done with him and cost him about $11 million. And most people think that they'll be done with him.
Yeah, he's expected to be cut.
Yeah.
Number two.
Blazers have signed Duop Reith to a standard 3-year NBA contract.
My man!
He is averaging 9 points and 4 boards a game. He is shooting 38.5% from 3.
Look, you got to admit, there hasn't been a lot of bright spots for this Blazer roster. He's been a great pickup there, coming from the G League and his road to get here. Kudos to him.
Scoot Henderson earned his way back into the starting 5 last night, and the team was instantly down 30.
Well, all you have to do to earn your way back into the starting lineup, by the way, is have everyone else get hurt, and then you're in the starting lineup. But to be fair, he has played a lot better.
Yeah.
That stretch they had when they went east, when they went like 1-7, he was awful, and he has gotten a lot better.
By the way, Blazers coach Chauncey Billups has been named a finalist for the 2024 class of the Basketball Hall of Fame.
Oh.
How about that?
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
See Chauncey going. A lot of people do think he is a Hall of Famer.
Hell of a player.
Yeah. And Scoot had to get on a plane because he's the only representative for the Blazers at the All-Star game.
I thought Sharp was there, but he's hurt now.
Well, he's got the oblique thing.
Yeah, so he can't.
Yes.
Is he there, or does he just not even show up?
I don't know. But Scoot, after last night, he had to bail. He's like, I got to catch that plane. I got to get to that lake. So he's out there at the Rising Stars.
Tyrese Halliburton is being interviewed.
Looks like Where's Waldo?
Yeah, dude.
Well.
And I think he's great. I've seen interviews with him. He is Tyrese Halliburton is wonderful.
Yeah.
But these guys look absurd.
He's a little try hard in the fashion
Yes,
game.
they're just trying so hard at the fashion, and it's like, I just want some guy to show up in a suit, a nice starched white shirt and a nice freaking suit. Dude,
nice try, you old white bitch.
I was
It's not happening.
Old man yelling at clouds about to come out.
Well, he looks absurd.
Well,
look at him.
Can I ask too? Is there any chance that those glasses are actually prescription?
No chance.
No. He's just wearing those glasses, for. He looks like Where's Waldo.
He does.
And those glasses are non-prescription, guaranteed.
2 juveniles have been charged with crimes connected to the Super Bowl parade shooting in Kansas City. They are gun-related charges and resisting arrest. The police department there says more charges are coming, but they had a 24-hour window where they had to charge him or they had to release him, so they hit him with this. They're also saying that there could be other shooters that they are still investigating. And they could be charged.
It sure sounds like this is just a gang conflict, does it not? I mean, everything you read, this is two groups, 2 gangs that were at the parade. words exchange, whatever, and bullets start flying.
Did you hear what T Swift did though?
Yeah.
$100,000, right?
$100K to this to a couple of the kids who are overcoming gunshot wounds.
Well,
No.
To the family of the lady.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Woman,
to the family. Yeah, that's right.
The woman who died, she has a GoFundMe. Her family put up a GoFundMe, and Tay donated $50K twice.
Yeah, and it was Mahomes and Britt who were going around visiting the victims.
Yeah, they're visiting the victims, and they've put up there's a bunch of different funds that are popping up for victims, and the community is rallying around them. Really doing a great job of it, and you just feel obviously horrible because one person doesn't get to recover from that.
Did you see what the guy who tackled the young kid, one of the kids that got arrested?
Yeah.
Did you hear what he said? Did you read his account? Dude, it's harrowing.
Yeah.
He said that basically that kid who they tackled, half of his face, like he said his jaw was gone. He got shot.
Oh, the kid.
The kid.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
He got shot by one of the other gangs.
I don't know, but he just...
I would assume.
He said half of his jaw was missing.
Wow.
When he tackled him.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, it was... Sure looks like a gang shootout. They weren't shooting at spectators. That's the thing.
But they had a semi-automatic rifle.
Yeah. Well, again, gangs tend to do that. So the gangs were firing at each other. It makes sense that of the people that were hit, one of the shooters got hit.
Well, and I think that's why there were so many young people hit, because a lot of them were young in the same
area.
They were all hanging out together.
Because the one photo you have of the guy that got tackled, he looks like he's like 13 years old. Yeah. It's crazy.
Victor Rico's Mexican Food brings you the Hot 5 at 5, the most popular burrito spot in Oregon. Order now at victorricos.com. We'll hear a college basketball coach whine about NIL next, and then we'll interview Joey Harrington on The Fan.
Yeah. The home of Dirt and Spray.
I'm Dirt. I will not be getting to more overtime, knowing the rules, taking the football conversation. I've about had it and been exhausted by it. I find it odd that that's the biggest takeaway from the game is the team lost because
talk about Chip Kelly and the state of the Oregon program. Coming up next with Joey Harrington. It's officially story time. See if he can tell us a story. He better.
I would hope so. I mean, it's right there in the title.
But first, little audio. Saw this guy. He is, you won't recognize him, but his name is Mike Boynton.
Mike Boynton. Does not ring a bell.
He's the head coach at Oklahoma State.
Okay.
Basketball.
Yeah. And
he went on about a minute rant about NIL and recruiting. And I thought it was pretty good because I'm normally one that just kind of rolls my eyes. I'm, at these guys griping about this.
Yeah.
Because I'm just like,
This is the reality. Deal with it.
This is it. Deal with it. Or if you're, if you really hate it, do a Chip Kelly.
Yeah.
You don't have to stay where you are. But I thought this was actually pretty good, and he galvanizes quite well, or crystallizes maybe would be the word, quite well, just how it's changed. This is Oklahoma State coach Mike Boynton.
Recruiting's never been a challenge until recruiting became not recruiting anymore. Like what I had to do to get Cade Cunningham here was way more difficult than what it takes to get players on campus now. It's not even the same thing. It took 4 years of making sure I was there more than Bill Self and making sure I was there more than Roy Williams and making sure I was there more than all these other coaches who had national championships and Final Fours and all these NBA guys. I had never coached a guy in NBA as a head coach. I hadn't coached an NCAA tournament. But over time, the relationship mattered enough that he believed that I was going to do the right thing by him. I can't work that hard anymore. Not when you can say, here's $500,000 to come spend 9 months over here. I like you, coach, but I might get hurt this year, man. And all you got is a scholarship for me. And I still got to give those books back at the end of the year.
You know what I mean? Like that's...
Yep. It's a great point.
Look, I you put it that way. It's like, dude, yeah, why even try? It's like you can try to lay the groundwork with Cade Cunningham, but you're not getting him if you don't have the money.
No. And the only thing I'm gonna hit pause on here for a little bit is you had to pay Cade Cunningham. Cade Cunningham didn't come to Oklahoma State for free. Wasn't as expensive. Obviously, it wasn't on board. That's the one thing about these coaches that drives me crazy. Stop acting like you didn't have to pay for kids. Okay? DeAnthony Thomas got paid to come to Oregon. It happened. There's a reason why DeAnthony Thomas flipped on signing day. And everyone was like, oh my God, he didn't go to USC. Because he took USC's money too, probably. Wink, wink, nod, nod. You don't think Roy Williams was paying people? Rick Pitino. I mean, how many scandals? So now it's just above board. So yeah, I do feel for him that if you don't have the money, it's not even worth it anymore. Or you can build a great relationship. And if someone can pay that much more above board, because now the price for these kids is certainly way higher than it used to be. For $250,000, you used to be able to go out and get a 5-star kid. Now it's going to cost you $2 million. And
wasn't it always too that, didn't we have a coach tell us once that, there are kids with their hands out.
Yeah.
Or back, I don't even say back in the day, but, prior to all this NIL stuff.
Yeah.
There are kids that are going to have their hands out, but there are also a lot of kids that don't. But now
everyone does.
I think what he's saying now is like, it doesn't even matter to put in the work for anybody because they all have their hand out.
Yes. And I can't blame them. Why would you? And so this is why we've said this time and time again. If you don't have your NIL in order, nothing else really matters when you're talking about playing with the big boys.
And that's why Chip Kelly left.
Yes.
Right
because
there.
His NIL was an absolute
And that's
mess.
why Boston College guy left.
Yes. And it's largely why a guy like, it's not the only reason, but it's why you're seeing some guys, a la the Nick Sabans of the world, just say, I don't need this anymore. The story that's going around, and I do believe it's true, it's been confirmed by people that are very tied in, is that the day after Nick Saban lost to Michigan, 12 of his players came into his office and said, I need more. And by the way, that's not what the coach is supposed to do. There are rules, laughable, that separate NIL from the coaches and the university. But you still have kids coming into Saban and being like, hey man, I need more. And I guess that was kind of the straw that broke its back. So it's not even that you have to just get Cade Cunningham on your campus. Once he's there, you have to pay to keep him. Although in college basketball, obviously it's a lot of one and dones, but I don't know. It's the reality, and I feel for him in some way, but at the same time, I don't have a ton of sympathy.
Wasn't it Oklahoma State too that was wrapped up in that whole shoe scandal, like with the feds and everything? Didn't they lost? I don't know if Boynton was there.
But I think they were tied up into it.
But I think they lost one of their assistant coaches or something from that.
Yeah.
So they were, But
now we're like, oh my God, we have to pay players. No, you just have to play players more, and you have to pay more of the players, and that's what you're upset about. And now more schools can pay those players.
Well, I think I don't know. I'm somewhere in between. I get what you're saying, but I also think he's saying now it's just the cat's out of the bag on all of this to the point where it doesn't even. Why would I put in the work for this kid if I know we can't outbid
exactly
Oklahoma?
Yeah, there's really no more swiping kids by building.
Used to be you could.
Yeah, you could. You could build great relationships, and you could come close enough, and you could give him something. But now, again, if you know that you can pony up, $100,000, and you know that someone else has $1 million, you don't have any chance.
It's gone from recruiting to essentially a silent auction.
Yeah,
pretty much.
I mean, that's what it is.
Yeah, it's free agency without a salary cap.
And I think you're going to see more and more coaches bail because of that. And I also think that has to do, this has a lot to do, and none of them will really say it, but all of the legends that have retired in the last 4 or 5 years, all of them, they're all thinking the same way on this. Saban, Jay Wright, Roy Williams, Coach K, Jim Boeheim, all of them.
Yeah, not dealing with it.
They don't want it's just different game.
Yep. It is.
I've been doing it this way for years. I'm out.
It's an entirely different world. And if you're going to play with the big boys, you better be a Dan Lanning type that lives and breathes this 23 hours a day.
All right. Let's get Joey Harrington in here. Story time. Will he tell us a story? Next on The Fan.
Now, from the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
Brian Buckley with this Sports Center update. First on The Fan, the NBA All-Star break is here. The Blazers, though, stayed busy today, signing rookie Duop Reith to a 3-year contract. The 27-year-old is averaging 8 points and 3 rebounds per game for Portland this season. In college, the Pac-12, or what's left of it, they've agreed to mutually part ways with Commissioner George Kliavkoff at the end of the month. Round 2, the Genesis Invitational at Riviera today. Tiger Woods having to withdraw from his own tournament due to illness. Patrick Cantley is leading that tournament at 13 under par. He has a 5-shot lead on the rest of the field. In the NFL, Raiders quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo has been suspended 2 games by the league for violating its performance-enhancing substance policy. And in baseball, the Phillies have signed super utility man Whit Merrifield to a 1-year deal with an option for a second. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Ryan Buckley from the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk. Spirit Mountain Casino is the place to watch and wager on pro and college games every week. Learn more at spiritmountain.com.
You're invited to play in the first annual Fan Winter Golf Classic at X Golf Tualatin and X Golf Vancouver. Sign your threesome up at 1080thefan.com.
It's
time for Who's Leading the Charge. A look under the hood at the coaches, players, and teams getting it done. Brought to you by Battery Exchange.
Will Zalatoris. Much more accessible hole location with that flag on the left. They ought to kill this.
Oh, did he? Oh. He sure did.
Everybody's fired up.
Will Zalatoris wins a car for himself and a car for his caddy by acing the 14th at Riviera. And by the way, as an avid golf watcher, you guys know this if you watch as much golf as I do. The course means so much to the viewing experience. And is there a better course to watch than the Riv? There are a lot of great courses.
Great sight lines.
Dude, that is a great one to watch those guys play. System checks at 14 area locations. Battery Exchange with an X.com.
At Fisher Investments, we may seem like other money managers, but we're different.
Are you really that different?
Tell us the story. Go.
So I jumped ship in Hong Kong, made my way over the little course in Tibet. I told him I was a looper, a jock, a pro jock, a caddy. So I get to the first tee. And who do they give me? The Dalai Lama himself. Flowing robes, grace, striking the Lama. 12th son of the Lama, striking. So we get to the first tee, and I have him driver. long, big hit of the Lama. He looks at me, he hauls off and hits one into this 10,000-foot, base of this 10,000-foot crevasse. And he looks at me and he says, you know what he says? He says, Gunga Galunga. No, Gunga Lagu. No, Gunga Galunga.
That's pretty well done. It was I'm going to say
so
that's
we get
probably
to the 18th, and he's going to stiff me. I say, hey, Lama. How about a little something, for the effort? And he says, there'll be no cash today. But when you die on your deathbed, you'll receive total consciousness. So I got that going for me, which is nice.
Yes.
That is probably 85 to 90% correct. That's well played, sir.
Now, if you could you keep going? Just recite the whole movie.
The quotable Caddyshack.
Oh, Danny. Oh, boy. No, I probably shouldn't go to that scene. What's so funny is, you think of those movies that are like, oh, man, that's so incredible. And then you look back on it, it's like, oh, man, that probably wouldn't fly real well today. So you start to go down one of those scenes, and it's like, oh, no, I probably shouldn't say that on the radio. Oh, but what about that? No, probably shouldn't say that on the radio.
Caddyshack
bull
is
fights
just
on acid.
Universal.
What do you do for fun?
Skinny ski.
That was a good story.
Thank you.
What do you think about Chip Kelly stepping down from UCLA to be an offensive coordinator at Ohio State?
I think if you knew Chip, it wouldn't surprise you.
Why? Explain that.
He doesn't want to.
We know.
He doesn't want to deal with a bunch of the crap.
Yeah.
I mean, and let's be honest. In order to compete in college football today, you got to be knee deep in it. You do. I mean, you've got to be not just paying players, right, which is what NIL has become, but you have to recruit the incoming players, provide them with enough financial compensation to quote unquote make it worth it. And then at the end of every season, you have to go and re-recruit your own players so they don't leave. Right? And then you have to recruit out of the transfer portal to replace the players that you didn't retain from your own program. Meanwhile, it's just become this absolute, it's become a monkey poop fight is what it has. And if you knew Chip, when Chip was at Oregon, he wasn't warm and fuzzy. He wasn't doing, sit down interviews and fire time with, story time with Chip. No, he just wanted to coach football. He wanted to call football plays. He wanted to think of he was that guy that was just leave me alone. You brought me here to do a job, and that's to create an innovative, groundbreaking offense. Let me call football plays. And it's gotten to the point where head coaches in college football, they don't just, and to a certain extent, it's always been that, right? Bellotti was the CEO. Bellotti was the coach of the coaches. But now you have to be the coach of the coaches. You have to be the friend of the alumni. You have to be the sugar daddy to the not just the players, but the players' families, right? You have to be the best friend to the players. It's just this role. This college football head coach has become just a mess. And frankly, I wouldn't want to deal with it either. It's not like he hasn't, guy's made enough money, right? Knowing Chip, Chip's not out there buying yachts, and I'm sure he's been smart with his money, and he's not living paycheck to paycheck. So if Ohio State says, "Hey, you want to just take a step away from all the garbage and just call football plays?" I'm sure he said, "Hell yeah, I want to do that."
With better players, UCLA, they're not really committed. So, it's one thing to want to jump into the new age college football if you've got all the support and the backing. It's another if you know that your hands are tied. And I get what you're saying about him. He wasn't interested either way. I don't think he was even interested at Oregon when he was at Oregon. That's what's weird about it. But
no, that's my point. Is he was never doing it. He was never a man of the people at Oregon. He won football games because he was a hell of a play caller, and he was ahead of his time. He was pushing the envelope, and his offense, what he was able to do on the football field, made up for his shortcomings, or I should say allowed him the grace or the what's the word I'm looking for? Not leeway, but what he lacked in personal relationships, he made up for by winning 10, 11 football games a year.
Yeah, what's amazing is in this question just popped into my head. We were talking about this yesterday. It's like if I told you it was right after the K-State Fiesta Bowl. Okay, so they kill K-State. They only lost one game that year, but it was the wrong game, and that's the bowl they got. Chip Kelly leaves, but 2 years prior he plays for the national championship. If I told you at that time with that in that Kansas State game, I sat you down and I'm like, Joey, 12 years from now, Chip's an offensive coordinator. He leaves a Power 5 head coaching job to be an offensive coordinator in the same league. Oh, by the way, Oregon is one of the favorites in the Big Ten, and the Pac-12 doesn't even exist. If I told you all of that at that time in 2012, you'd think I'm crazy, but that's exactly what happened. So the question that popped into my head about that is, what do you think happens if Oregon keeps Chip Kelly? Are they, in a weird way, in a better spot now than if they had kept him?
It's a damn good question.
No.
You don't think so?
Yeah. That's a good job, Suk. That's a damn good question.
Yeah, it is. Got me thinking.
When he left, I was curious to see what would happen, right? I was I want to say not frustrated, but, I would have loved for him to stay because, like I said, they were one win away from an undefeated season. They'd been in the national championship. They were on a roll. In a certain way, football caught up with him. And some of it was rule changes. Some of it was just the evolution of the game. But what Chip was doing at that time was so innovative that they literally had to make rules to curtail what it was that he was doing, right? Rules about substitutions on defense, and remember how Nick Saban was up in arms that his guys were getting so tired, and so in the way that everything is cyclical and every good thing comes to an end, there was going to be a time when the rest of the football world caught up with Chip's offense. It wasn't going to last forever. And I almost wonder, now that you've posed that question, and maybe he thought this, that it was the right time to leave.
Mm.
Right? Well, look at it now. He's the head coach. He was the head coach at UCLA. They were below average for his first couple years. Get to an 8-win season. Do they have a 9-win season? I'm not quite sure if they got that
last year,
far.
right?
Maybe with a bowl game.
Did they get 9?
Didn't they?
Yeah,
I thought they did.
But you cover over, what was he there, 5 years?
No, 4.
4?
COVID year, maybe.
Whatever it was, it's ish 4, 5, 6-ish. He had 3 under 500. So he was probably a 500 coach at UCLA. Granted, the talent is different.
I think he's right at 500. It's right there.
Yeah, and I wonder if
6 seasons.
I don't know. I mean, I almost. I think it has allowed Oregon to branch out a little bit, and it's funny because there was and I was definitely included in this, like the discomfort of stepping out of the family, right? Mm-hmm. There was safety, there was familiarity, you knew what you were going to get, but looking back on it, and seeing how football has evolved, I don't know if Chip, I don't know if he wouldn't have suffered the same fate. I don't know. It's a really interesting question because I think football has evolved.
I do think
defenses have evolved.
I do think it's a testament to the structure, like the bones which was built, which Brooks, Bilotti, Phil, Nike, all that, certainly the ADs and the hires. But you think about after Chip left, Helfrich had his moment in the sun, but you go, from Helfrich and Taggart and Cristobal, and like it hasn't necessarily been all sunshine. And you look at a lot of programs. Virginia Tech is one that I always compare to Oregon to, like an East-West sort of thing. Obviously, I think Oregon had more resources dumped into it, but kind of rose up and were kind of the modern day, hey, we've arrived. But after Beamer left, Virginia Tech's never been able to get back, and Oregon kind of stumbled their way through a little bit, but sure seems like they came out the other side. And that I think that's a testament to just, like I said, the structure of the program.
I mean, I agree. What was your original question? Was it like, do you think, like I'm trying to...
Are they better off with the way it went with him leaving as opposed to hanging around? Yeah, you stumped him.
Got him.
Yeah.
I do. I think that looking back, from this perspective, from this point, looking back right now, I think they are better off now than they would have been had Chip stayed.
I agree.
Because I think college, football would have caught up to what Chip was doing. Chip doesn't like recruiting.
Nope.
Chip is not a people person, right? For the same reason that he left UCLA to go call plays at Ohio State, Chip is an X's and O's person. And like we were just talking about, college football has become a mess of parents and cash and endorsements and transfers. And in a weird way, the Helfrich to Taggart to Cristobal to Lanning, whatever you want to call it, fiasco or upheaval or unsettled, just uncertainty, I think has allowed us to figure out what is not necessarily what's important, but what is going to last, right? What is it that college football looks like? And it's one of those funny things where, like, only through failure and only through loss do you actually truly learn, what it is that you should be doing. Winning hides a lot of mistakes. Winning hides a lot of the crap. And I think that had Chip stayed, I think a lot of the crap would have continued to hide. And in that, call it 6, 8, 10-year stretch, allowed Oregon to, and the athletic department and the football department to kind of figure out what it looked like and what it means to truly be relevant and not just a one and done, but an every year, what it's going to take to be relevant in college football year after year. And I don't know that Chip as a head coach, and I think we see it with him leaving and going to call plays at Ohio State. I don't know that Chip as a head coach necessarily would have been on board with what it takes to do that right now.
I agree. And the Ducks are in great hands. I mean, look, it doesn't matter what Chip Kelly would have done for 10 years. I'll take this. I mean,
I don't know that they could be in better.
No, I don't either. And that's
the irony of this whole thing is I mean, what seemed like what had so many of us like in, I don't want to say a panic, but just like really like on the edge of like, what the hell is going on? Like, are we going to lose 30 years of what we've built? But I think it's that, and credit Rob Mullins and credit that athletic department for finding the guy who wanted to be there. Right? You know, finding the guy who truly wanted to embrace Oregon, who wanted to embrace college football, who wanted to embrace the job, the challenge. Like, man, like every time I think about the landscape of college football, I just am grateful for Dan Lanning and his staff and for them being there and for the commitment they have made in Eugene.
All right, let's pause. We're with Joey Harrington here, courtesy of Mods PDX. When we come back, how will Oregon do in the Big Ten? And we'll wrap up the Super Bowl with our friend Joey when we return here on The Fan.
It's time for a Ducks Report, the inside story on Oregon athletics. Brought to you by Mods PDX. The future of building is here.
Hey, college baseball has begun. The Ducks win their opener 4-2 over the Boomer Sooner.
That's right. They did it in an interesting way. They got the go-ahead run on a double play ball when they had the bases loaded, and then they got the insurance on a wild pitch. So
nice.
You take the wins any way you can get them. They've got Baylor and Texas Tech still this weekend at Globe Life Park in Texas.
Mods PDX, the future of building is here.
If you're considering new construction and want it done right and fast by its
let's make this fair. And what if I said,
how is it not
because
fair?
you named 3, because you cherry picked. You cherry picked 2 of them.
You said Cal and Stanford. I said Rutgers and Maryland.
Yes, and you said Purdue and Indiana. So I'm gonna do those 4, and then I'm gonna do Stanford, Cal, and then you pick the other 2. Pac-12. I don't know. The old doormats of the Pac-12.
The old doormats? You mean Colorado?
Yeah. Okay, I'll put them in there. Sure.
Okay, Colorado and. Well, old doormat was Arizona, but
pick it. Arizona?
Sure. Oregon State. Washington. I mean, you pick. I mean, who's? Tell me, the doormat of the conference 2 years ago was Oregon State.
Okay.
The doormat of the conference not last, but the previous year was Colorado.
All right, I'm going to be an impartial, so I'm just going to go. And I know it's just a simple sample, but I'm going to take 2023. So we're going to take the non-league out of it. Okay.
Okay.
So these are the 2 schedules, and you guys can just make mental notes and decide where you want to go. It was Colorado, Stanford, UW, Washington State, Utah, Cal, USC, Arizona State, Oregon State. Okay.
Ooh, Arizona State. That could be a good one.
That was 2023. Here's 2024. Okay. So we're going to get rid of, obviously, we're getting rid of the non-conference. UCLA, Michigan State, Ohio State, Purdue, Illinois, Michigan, Maryland, Wisconsin, Washington.
I just think that's tougher. But of the schools that we mentioned, I still think the 4 that the Big Ten are tougher.
All I'm saying is at least I'm somewhere between the 2 of you on this. I think you guys are both dug in, but I will say just from a 2023 to 2024 standpoint, you can't tell me that 2024 isn't significantly harder than 2023.
Okay, this is an entire half-hour segment, but we're gonna, you think UW's gonna be good next year? UW lost 21 of their first 22 on offense.
All right.
Again,
do you think UCLA is going to be good next year after losing their starting quarterback and their head coach?
No, I think UCLA is probably going to be rough. I didn't think UCLA was that good that year, but I'm not going to count out Washington, certainly because Oregon keeps saying that they're better than Washington and they keep beating them. So I'm not going to sit up here and say that Oregon's going to roll over Washington. That's what everyone keeps saying, and yet you can't do it.
Okay. Okay, fine. I'm not saying
in your face.
Washington was better than Oregon this year. That's the truth. I'm saying next year. We're talking about next year's.
I'm just going
schedule.
Next year's schedule. I think next year when you throw in just the idea of throwing in Ohio State, Michigan, and Wisconsin. And then you still have some quality Pac-12 old foes because you're still going to play Oregon State. You're still playing UCLA, even though I don't think UCLA is very good. I'm with you on that. I'm not ready to write off Washington the way some.
But no. Oregon State isn't in your conversation because
that's
league.
That's true. I guess I'm just saying you're going to play them every year, right? So they're technically kind of grandfathered in.
You can't say that they're not included, and then all of a sudden come back.
God's sakes.
You can't triple stamp a double stampy. You can't triple stamp a double stampy.
I just think adding in schools, I'm with you with some of the middle of the road stuff, but I think adding in some of those games, just the idea of adding in Ohio State and Michigan State when you're still having to play most years USC and Washington, which were your 2 big opponents in the Pac-12. I think you're trading Utah. And I'll give you the wash is I don't think there's a difference between Arizona State and Illinois and Cal and whatever. I'll wash that. But to me, you're basically trading like Utah and Arizona. Who else? Like Washington State. You're trading some decent schools, and you're trading them for Wisconsin, Penn State, Ohio State, and Michigan. I'll give you the bottom feeders. That's no different. But I think the top end, because you're still having to play the good quality teams from the Pac-12 on a year-to-year basis. I just think to me the top end is harder.
I don't. I think you'll end up playing one harder game a year. I mean, is the way that it works.
One or two. I can't disagree.
Based on. Yeah, I mean that's. I don't think playing USC is any different than playing Penn State. I don't think that like those games are you want to trade, Washington and Michigan were essentially on par this year, right? Those are the two teams that played in the national championship game. The fact that you've got an 18-team league and you're not going to play them all, you're going to get one harder game a year. Rutgers and Maryland, they're doormats. They're always going to be doormats in the same way that Cal is always going to be the doormat, because certain schools are funded and certain schools aren't, right? Like certain schools care about having a winning football program, and certain schools say, sorry, you know what, academics is more important to us. And that's fine. The reality is you will get a harder game. You'll sub out. You'll lose a Cal and you'll gain a Wisconsin, right? And that's going to be the difference between last year's schedule and this year's schedule.
Watch out for the Boilermakers.
I think we came to a somewhat.
Well, we came
to a middle ground.
We have three separate opinions. He thinks the top. The top is tougher in the Big Ten. I think it's deeper in the Big Ten, and you think it's about the same.
Yeah, we're somewhere in the.
So let's fight.
We're on the spectrum.
I think Rutgers and Maryland and Illinois and Indiana and maybe not Minnesota. I think they're garbage.
Okay.
I don't think they are no different. I would rather play those schools than at Washington State. I'll tell you what. You tell me you're either going to the Palouse to play Washington State or you're going to any of those schools, and I would go to any of those schools any day of the week and twice on Sunday.
Well, I guess we'll find out. And when they lose on the road at Purdue, I will be the first to tweet at you.
The plus side is you can lose 2, maybe even 3 games.
It doesn't really matter.
2 will get in. 3, now you've put yourself in harm's way.
All right.
We may not be friends anymore. Did we do some damage here?
Your incessant yelling is tough.
I'm not yelling. I'm just on the phone, and so does it come across as yelling?
No,
I don't mean to be yelling. I'm sorry.
Rob's sensitive. He's very fragile. He's a conscientious objector.
I like sports fights.
Sports fights.
We got to be more East Coast.
You know what we should do? We should go like full hockey goalie gear. And then we take turns like hitting each other with hockey sticks and see who's standing.
I don't like that.
Rob's not into violence.
Let's play golf.
I thought that was a sports fight.
Let's play golf. Sports fight. Good sports fight. You and me golfing. How about that?
Ah, man.
With drinks.
I can't even. Ooh.
And the loser of this buys drinks.
Oh, there you go.
We're on to something.
That's what it is.
It out.
But we have to go to your country club.
You mean Rose City?
Yeah, or my country club, Langdon Farms.
Sweet.
We'll do a home and home.
Gotta love public golf in Portland.
That's right. You definitely do, sir. All right. Well, we got to go now. We no Super Bowl talk. We'll.
Super Bowl wasn't even that important, other than nobody knew the overtime rules.
Big Ten is though.
I didn't know the
Big
overtime
Ten would
rules.
win the Super Bowl.
You didn't know that?
I was screaming at my TV. I was like, why aren't they calling timeout? They have 12 seconds left.
Well, you must not have been listening to the broadcast. They were telling us. They said it on there.
Who listens to the broadcast during the Super Bowl?
Oh, my God.
I was asleep at one point during the halftime show.
Dude, falling asleep during football is the best thing in the world. It's the best nap you can have.
Feet up on the coffee table, Oh, man.
Do you fall asleep with
nachos in the belly? Man, it was a good Sunday. You wake up and it's overtime? Jeez.
Do you have the bourbon in your hand and then you're sleeping but you don't spill it? I've done that before.
I actually didn't have anything to I had nothing in the hand. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right, we got to go. We'll talk to you next week out at the Portland Auto Show.
Oh, sweet.
Let's talk cars. Thank you.
Yeah. Bye.
Love you, buddy. Joey Harrington, courtesy of Mods PDX. The future of building is here. Coming up next, Club 1080 on The Fan.
I'm George McCoy with Warren Allen, Attorneys at Law. Winter means football playoffs, but it also
Like, that's a different level of bad. Colorado was until, Dion, and even then, they still sucked. They just were slightly less sucky.
All right, so I've got Miami news. Miami Beach.
Oh, I was like, what? We're still on sports? We're still hurricane in it?
No, I told you, Miami, they don't want the spring breakers anymore. They said they're trying to break up with spring break. Seriously, they don't want them.
Because you think of Miami, I mean, that's like Florida is like, I mean, that's the capital of spring break. And then out here, it's like what, Arizona, Havasu, you get that. But like
probably, or like maybe even going like south of the border, Tijuana or something like that.
Yeah.
So how do you suppose Miami Beach? Because if you haven't seen some of the vids,
it's crazy
of spring break down there. Yeah. It's Thunderdome.
My buddy,
people standing on cars and
my buddy was going to go down to Key West.
Gunshots,
and he didn't realize it, but he kind of inadvertently booked it around the spring break time. And so to get to Key West, you fly into Miami, and then I think they were driving down. So he spent a night in Miami, and he was sending me some videos. And he goes, I don't think we fully appreciated that spring break is going on right now. And I'm like, yep, buckle up.
So how do you think they're going to do this? Because Miami Beach is a very popular tourist destination.
Yes. The only thing I can think of is that you're going to start trying to crack down with like citations and underage drinking and public drunkenness, and just try to like tell people like if you come here, you're going to have a problem. That's the only thing I can think of.
Here's what they're doing. And you tell me if you think this will work.
My guess is no, but let's go for it.
I mean, they're literally trying to end spring break
in their city.
Yeah, they don't care where else. Yeah. Just don't come here.
You don't got to go home, but you can't stay here. Get the hell out. Moving on up the road a piece. Try Tampa.
So the first thing is a flat $30 parking rate at city garages, and lots in South Beach are $100 to park from March 7th through 10th and March 14th through 17th.
So they're trying to do the cigarette thing. We're just going to make it so expensive for you, you're not going to want to come.
Pricing your ass out.
Pricing your ass out.
Residents and employees, obviously, they don't have to pay that.
So if you show proof of that you're from there, all right. I like where they're going.
And they are restricting entry to those garages and lots after 6 p.m. That's another big one.
All right.
A double towing rate of $516 for non-residents.
Ooh. Ouch.
Security checkpoints and bag checks to enter the beach. Beach entry via Ocean Drive limited to 5th, 10th, and 12th Street, so they're funneling them into metal detectors.
Sure.
Closure of beach entrances at 6 p.m.
Wow. So the beach gets shut down at 6?
Yep. Well, no, close of the entrance.
So, you're either there at 6 or you're not.
A DUI sobriety checkpoint on 5th Street on March 8th through 9th and March 15th and 16th.
Can I ask why they weren't doing the DUI checkpoints before this? Have you been to spring break?
A ban on rentals of slingshots, golf carts, electric scooters, and other motorized vehicles from March 7th through 10th and March 14th through 17th. And license plate readers on the eastbound lanes of the Julia Tuttle and MacArthur Causeways from March 8th through 10th and March 15th through 17th starting at 6 p.m. Expected to cause significant traffic delays.
Well, I mean, I'm intrigued. I like what they're doing here. If you're trying to be an old, grouch,
dude, that could work.
Something tells me though that I just think they're gonna plow through this. Like, doesn't this mean just don't bring your car? Like,
you gotta be.
I can't say I understood that everyone was driving to spring break anyways.
You can't pack your heat.
No, you can't pack your heat.
You gotta be there before 6. You can't come late. I'm sure it's a late.
Look, I'll say this. I can see where this will curb a little bit of it, but there's no way you're stopping spring break.
Well, I don't think you're stopping it, but the particular. See, here's the thing that they don't want to tell you. The particular crowd that they are trying to curb will get curbed by these regulations.
I can see that.
But I don't think they care if you've seen some of those videos. That crowd, they're not buying things down there. All they're doing is they're going down there and fighting and shooting guns.
Raging at the bars.
Yeah. No, they're not. They're not in the bars.
They're not even going to the bars?
No, they're out on the beach. They're out on the beach and they're dancing on cars and stuff. They're not bringing commerce to the city. Now, if they change the crowd to a little more upscale crowd that was hitting the bars and, wasn't as big of a problem.
So they're trying to pull a Roadhouse is what they're doing. Is they need a different clientele to get drunk.
They want the older people.
I don't know, man. You get that number of people down there. I just don't know if that's controllable, right? Like, how many people descend upon Miami Beach for spring break? It's got to be hundreds of thousands.
Again, I think that they're looking at a certain segment of the hundreds of thousands and saying, we don't want you specifically, right? Like that. Again, it's going to be busy. They don't care about that. They just want this particular problem. We have this in Kansas City. I bartended at a bar called Harry's, Scotch and Cigar Bar in Westport. And Westport was at that time the drinking
that was the place
district. It has since changed. There are other places that people go now. Westport still has a bunch of bars and stuff. It's kind of fun, but it's the old drink district, right?
Yeah.
Shortly after I left, and I think to this day, they began to have a problem with young kids showing up at Westport at 1 a.m.
Yeah.
And they aren't drinking. They aren't going into the bars. Well, they may be drinking, but they're not going into the bars.
They're just there.
They're just loitering. Yeah. And of course, they end in, sometimes there were shootings. There were always fights. It was very difficult to police, and it made people not want to go down and drink at those bars.
Makes sense.
It was a rough crowd. Like, think about the kids that were at this shooting.
Yeah.
There's a lot of gang activity in Kansas City, and sometimes, that stuff would show up, and it's like, man, what do we do about this?
Yeah.
Because it's that type of idea that they're talking about here. They're not talking about, some rich kid flying in from L.A.
Yeah.
They're talking about
some dude just driving down in his, in your drop top with your friends,
or gangbangers, or just like these.
I'll be interested to see. Have you ever? I mean, you've been in Vegas a couple. You say you were in Vegas like a big fight. Like when you're ever in a mob, like a party mob, it's kind of surreal. It's kind of surreal when you realize that there is no way to stop what's happening. When you get a large group of people together, there really is no policing it.
They're just going to do whatever they want to do collectively.
Yeah. Well, it's like, remember, like when we had like the riots in Portland, unless cops actually start shooting people, there's nothing you can do to disperse a crowd of that size. Whether you're there for a protest, whether you're there for a party, you just can't. I was on Beale Street, which is the Memphis party district.
Yeah.
I was on Beale Street on New Year's once. There was it's just anarchy. There was no, there were cops there, but there was no, I didn't see anyone getting arrested. Like, you just can't. Like, there's just, it's just this massive humanity, and there's nothing you can do about it. I always think about, when you go to, Sturgis, that motorcycle rally. Mm-hmm. When that really gets rowdy, and I know they have a huge cop presence there, and I think they just try to curb, the worst of the worst, and then, but the other stuff, it just kind of happens. You have to accept that you can't stop it, so you just, and maybe that's what they're doing, like you said, just try to shave off some of the rough edges.
Yeah, I was in the MGM lobby for the Tyson Holyfield fight where he bit his ear.
Yeah.
And that scene, that's one of the craziest, well, obviously, because you remember they thought there were gunshots.
Yep.
There actually weren't, but they thought there were, so everybody was scrambling. It was
panic.
It was Thunderdome.
Yeah.
But we were crawling behind banks of slot machines. Seriously, I mean, it's like, oh my God, I got to get to the elevator. Well, so did everyone else. It was a mess.
Yeah.
That scene, it was like 4 lily white golf guys, me and my buddies, and 50% hookers, 50% pimps. That's it.
That's the crowd.
It was unbelievable.
Yeah, right? And
and I think Tiger Woods was there.
There's no controlling it. None.
No, it was Thunderdome.
Yeah. Hit Mardi Gras sometime. Go down the French Quarter and just see if you can control what's happening there. So we always pretend that we authority has some sort of control? Only if the people allow it. Because if you get a big enough crowd that collectively decides that we're not going to obey your rules, good luck stopping it. I mentioned the story when me and my buddy went to the Indianapolis 500 a number of years ago, and they were trying to do security checks, and the people got tired of waiting, so they just kicked down the security gates and just overwhelmed security, where security just stopped and was like, well, come on in.
And as we discussed earlier in the week, that happened at Waste Management over the weekend. They basically just, people got done waiting, and then at some point in time, you didn't even need a ticket.
Yeah. Again, if you get it, think about going into a game or going in anywhere, and it sucks when you're standing in line. Now imagine if that whole group together is like, yeah, we're done waiting. And there's like Gertrude there with like her like at the Moda Center with their blazer and like the ticket taker lady. Like what is that lady gonna do? Or the 7 cops that are there. Like, everybody.
Yeah.
We will arrest you. No, you're gonna arrest 3 of us. The other 15,000 are gonna get where we want to go. Like, you're just.
If you ever want pandemonium, though, you want it in a Vegas casino because the eyes in the sky.
Yeah.
You doing stuff like I remember people were getting caught because people threw tables over.
Yeah, just grabbing
and
chips.
Chips were just flying everywhere. Like people were like, "Oh yeah, it's $500."
Were you tempted?
Yeah. No,
free money.
Hell
no, it's not. That's stealing.
No, exactly. They're watching.
Just pulling my shirt up over my head. I don't know what you're talking about. Remember the guy that tried to burn down the courthouse, and he wore a mask, but his name was tattooed on his back. Dude got like 6 years in prison. The guy was smart enough to put a mask on to disguise his identity, but he took his shirt off, and his last name was tattooed in giant letters on his back. Whoops.
Yeah, I mean, this guy's right. Essentially, they're excluding the crowd with no money. If you have money, you're willing to come down here and spend it. Local economy, come on down. If you're coming down with your own booze and want to sit on the beach and put it and set it on fire, we're pricing you out. And that's exactly what they're doing.
I'm waiting for someone to make this a political issue.
Well, they might.
You're making this about the poor. I can't handle this.
Wait, he shoved what? Where? That story next on The Fan.
Yeah. The home of Dirt and Spray.
I'm Dirt. You can say Oregon's recruiting right now at that level. They're doing things that historically have never been done. I like Dan Lanning a lot. Also, needs to win the conference, needs to beat UW, needs to see how they hang with Ohio State on a consistent basis in the Big Ten. There are other things Oregon has to do, too, to elevate themselves to it. If you're at a program that is capable of making the playoff, what are you jumping for?
Spray.
See that?
Yeah, the little round.
Yeah, the
little round batteries. And by the way, he got it up in there.
Enough to get 3 of them in there, apparently.
I didn't No, I'm.
Yeah, this raises so many questions.
Yeah, that's a doozy.
Okay, so the people that like the butt stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't. That's not my thing. But I get it. You shove stuff up in there, and I don't know. That's like hot to you.
I guess hey, whatever you're into.
I have never heard of anyone shoving anything into their urethra.
No, that's the thing.
That is a thing?
Yeah, it's like the whole BDSM and yeah.
It's a thing because it hurts. It can't be a thing because it feels good, right?
No, it's a thing. Like it's the whole pleasure pain thing. Yeah, there's a whole. The internet will tell you there's a whole thing for whatever you're into.
Well, he said he had been fueling his own sexual gratification by intentionally shoving batteries into his penis.
I mean...
And they say, to the best of their understanding, officials there say it's the first reported case of urethral necrosis with button battery insertion.
Yeah. So he had
official.
He had a rotten dong from batteries. Now, I like that they say that they've seen it from other things, just not from batteries.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, I'm guessing there's some like battery acid, some leakage there.
Now, wait. Here's another question. He says he inserted batteries several times before and never got them stuck. How?
It's a good question.
I feel like he must have a stretching routine or something. Maybe I don't get how one makes it.
Pee him out?
You just push real hard. Yeah, like you fire hose that sucker out.
So if it's for sexual gratification, am I to assume that
he's into it?
Okay, well, yeah. I know, but he's not to get too graphic here, but he's
standing at full mast,
right?
Yeah,
and then
and
then they
right in there. Whoop, zip.
I still don't get how they fit.
Like, does he shoot batteries out then?
Maybe that's what he wanted to do.
It's possible, like a Tijuana trick, ping pong balls, or in this case, batteries. I don't know how that works, but I'm guessing that if you're a urologist, you've seen plenty of stuff. Same thing with a proctologist. I think you've seen people put stuff in places.
I've talked about this many times, but I've got a buddy as a surgeon, and he just every time I see him, which isn't often, maybe once or twice a year, he'll tell me of something new that was shoved up somebody's rectum that they had to go get.
And then do they have to say that it was unintentional?
Well,
does anyone admit that they were putting it up there, or is it always
it's pretty obvious it's up there, but it's not like it was forced or unintentional. Oh my God, I just sat on this Bud Light bottle.
I don't know. I don't know how any of that works.
No.
Look, people lie about a lot of things.
What it is the where it gets hairy is he'll have some dude have something up there, and then it's the spouse or like that doesn't know about it, or they don't want to tell the spouse, or the spouse is like, so what's going on? Why are you in the hospital? Well,
it's the old choking embarrassment thing again.
Yeah, maybe. Like there's a shampoo bottle in my rectum. I'll be home later.
Well, I mean, I think there is a lot of truth that my doctor friend says that a lot of times when you see stuff, it gets so bad. Anything down in the nether regions, they know it's bad, but it gets to the point where they're too embarrassed, and then they have to wait until it's so bad that they have no choice, that it's like a life and death sort of situation, which is amazing that shame and humiliation would lead you to not seek attention when something is crammed in your urethra.
We have a nursing school student in on the YouTube comment section. Says, I'm in nursing school, and a patient inserted several feet of wire up his urethra, and it ended up coiling up in his bladder.
Oh!
Wire? What are these people? Why?
I don't know.
You're making me uncomfortable.
Well, Rob, sounds like you're leading a boring life. You need to take more chances.
Apparently so.
Throw some whimsy. Go home and tell Nurse Nice that it's time to party.
We're getting ready to hop on a flight to Vegas.
All right. Bring the wire and batteries.
On the way over, I'm gonna say this to my wife. I'm gonna be like, babe, do you have 2 feet of wire? No? Why? I'm gonna put it in my penis. What do you think she'd say?
There's only one way to know.
It's going to get wild, babe.
And that's ask. Although, let me ask you this. Which is more terrifying?
Oh no.
You asking that question or her being into it and is like, oh my God, I thought you never asked.
That would be worse.
And then she responds with, this is what I'm looking for. And now you're down roads that you can't come back
dude,
from.
what if she pulls out 2 feet of wire? She's like,
How
I
long
thought
you
you'd
leave it
never
up there?
ask.
I've been waiting for this for years.
It's finally come.
This guy says, I know a radiologist. He had a patient who bit off the head of Barbies, and he once found 23 Barbie dolls' heads in the guy's gut. He was swallowing Barbie heads.
What a weird fetish.
I don't know.
Honestly, I don't know if there's anything that you could tell me that someone inserted
or
ingested that would surprise me at this point. You know, it's like, you know, you got to go into the lab sometimes and experiment, you know, and Dr. Ropp, I'm not here to judge what you're doing in there. It just like,
It's going to get wild in Vegas.
If you're going to do that, let me just say this, maybe tie some rope to it or something. You need an exit strategy. Like, you know, they do the plan of attack, but you got to be able to retreat sometimes. Although, which is there a more terrifying feeling than when your exit strategy breaks? You're like, hold on, let me get this out of there, and then next thing you know, you pull and only the string comes out, and you're like, damn it.
I think I told this story while you were gone on vacation, but one of my buddy's stories was, the latest one was, some dude was constipated, and he went WD-40.
What?
Emptied the can up there.
Yep.
He went Trump?
Do you remember that, Buck?
I remember this story very well because I was horrified.
First off, WD-40 can do anything. What does WD-40 do to the...
Nothing.
Nothing?
He almost died.
Didn't you say it basically killed his genitals?
Yeah, he went, I forget the term for it.
Hold on,
like they turned black and fell off, right?
I'm going to make a mental note. No WD-40. Did he use the little straw that comes with the WD-40?
I think he did, right?
Yes, of course. That's the whole point. You can get that way up in there.
And he thought by just like greasing it up, he'd fix the constipation.
That's right. That's right. And he did it twice. And then he finally showed up at the emergency room, and that's the one where he was like, I do not tell my wife.
They're like, now we have to remove your butt and genitals. Sorry.
She was out of town or something.
This is amazing.
It's crazy. Dude, it's crazy.
Look, I don't...
What is happening? Who is winning? What is occurring?
Does anything happen like this in the animal kingdom, or is this uniquely...
Who's winning? What is occurring?
Are we that bored with our lives? Are our marriages that boring where we're like, what the hell? Got this WD-40. All I know is my evening plans are canceled. I was all excited, and now I'm just terrified to do anything.
We got to go. What's next?
I don't know. Where you go? WD-40. I got some axle grease and some goo off, and have ourselves a grand old evening. Some shoe polish, maybe.
Here's Buck.
Now, from the Spirit Mountain.
CJ Stroud showed up and left the Rising Star Games with Amber Rose, and now people are losing their mind.
Yeah, it started, I think, last night at the Travis Scott Celebrity Softball game.
Boy, I'll tell you what.
Amber Rose, man.
You want to talk about the downfall of CJ Stroud?
There it is.
Let's just say it starts right.
Dude, that is the first thing I thought.
It blows me away that people continue to latch on to, like, these human parasites. Like, I get it. Amber Rose is attractive. She has a fat ass. How many, like, is it that hard?
Ringing endorsement.
Well, is it that hard to find?
I'm going to be honest. I don't get the Amber Rose thing. I really don't.
It's like, how many just celebrity dudes can she glom onto before, like, you're like, I'm just going to go find
someone else's name isn't Amber Rose.
Right? Yeah. Like, I saw that. If I'm a Texan fan, I'm like, oh boy, just please don't. Like, he had like the best young QB in like a decade plus. And then you see him at the All-Star game, and then he's just rolling around. Like, I think you'd rather do the Jimmy Garoppolo thing and just have him be with a porn star. You're like, at least the porn star is honest about what she does. Amber Rose?
You know, you could probably talk about this being predatory.
A little bit,
you
right?
Know? Like, he doesn't know what he's getting into.
No.
She knows exactly what she's doing.
Because she's done with a dozen athletes.
Yeah, I feel bad for this poor young, naive quarterback.
Right? It's
like kid. Just come over here. I got to talk to you.
Been through everyone from like 9 athletes: Kanye West, Machine Gun Kelly, Wiz Khalifa. Like, I just don't understand like how someone like this. I'll give her credit. She's got something. She has something going on. But it's like the Black China's like this. These women that are only famous for just literally being parasites onto famous people. It's the damnedest thing. And she got another one. And she's like 42. She's like our age. CJ Stroud's like 20, 21.
I was surprised she was like still a big deal.
I don't think she is.
Apparently enough for a hot new quarterback to take interest.
So weird.
It's just, what is going on? CJ, my man, someone needs to have an intervention. D'Amico Ryan's right now just in a helicopter flying. Like, get there now.
Doesn't it say something about him, though, that he's with her? Like, does that mean that he's a candidate for Kim Kardashian next?
It worries me. It worries me.
The YouTube comment says that just an indication there's no leadership in that locker room.
No.
There's no one steering him away.
No.
Yeah, where's D'Amico?
Someone's got to be there. It's because right now he's just a moth to a flame. He's going to get batted around in that cougar den. And I'm sure he's going to have a good time, but boy, this is
like a little ball of yarn.
He doesn't stand a chance. Man,
and we all know it. It's so sad.
It's like when you see like Lisa Ann or Amber Rose, you're like, no, run the other way.
And
run.
Anna Nicole Smith used to be one of these.
Oh yeah.
Although she didn't really do the athlete thing as much. I don't.
Yeah, she just did the old rich guy thing. She did the ultimate.
That's what I do.
To this day, the greatest photo of all time is her sitting on the lap of that Howard Marshall guy. He's like in his wheelchair, and she's just at her absolute hottest. He looks like warmed over death, but he has a giant smile on his face. He's just like, Look, if you've got billions of dollars and you're that old, God bless. Then his stupid kid sued, and Anna Nicole Smith didn't end up getting anything.
All right.
She deserved every penny that she got.
We got to go. We'll be back to wrap it up next on The Fan. It's cold. It must be February. It is February, and it is just telling her, he was like, hey, do you have any wire and maybe 3 batteries? And she's like, what? And I said, I'm going to stick them in my penis. And she was like, what? Where do you guys even find these stories? I'm like, do you know what we do?
No. When's the last time you listened to this show? Yeah, right now. Yeah,
right now.
She doesn't.
Yeah, she doesn't listen.
She learned a long time ago. It's probably for the best. And we tell everyone, like when you get affiliated with the show, like Buck's wife,
joke.
Don't listen. Nothing good can happen.
But she's into the wires and battery thing. So it's going to be a wild weekend in Vegas for us.
What is Vegas unless you're shoving something in your penis?
Right.
What's even the point?
Right.
If you don't go to the ER, don't come home.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas unless it's in your penis.
Who will have a better weekend? My wife and I at the Wynn, or Big Sook, who apparently has entered some sort of jiu-jitsu tournament?
It's mainly just shoving things in our penis. It's just an excuse to do that. I mean, but it's basically what it is. It's more of a competition of how many. Like, I'm shooting for like a baker's dozen. I mean, 3, that seems pretty cowardly. So we'll see what happens. You're right over there. He's just searching.
No, but really, what are you doing?
I'm pretty sure he is actually fighting people this weekend.
Yeah, what are you doing? Are you kicking some ass this weekend?
Nah.
What are you doing?
Nothing.
Why are you being so...
out.
All of a sudden, you clam up like a 5-year-old girl.
What, 5-year-old girls clam up? Not the 5-year-old girls I know. They won't shut up. You ever been around a little girl? My God. You've got a little niece. You're telling me that she's ever quiet? I don't think so.
Well, there's 2 of them, and one of them certainly is.
Yes.
Talkative.
Yes. There's nothing worse than if because you're trying to ask a question because you're trying to be like an involved parent or an involved uncle, and unfortunately, then you just open the floodgates.
I had this is a quick one since we're leaving. She's the cutest little thing in